trying to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just just just
Yep.
It has been entirely too long since we've been able to say this. Welcome to the World Center of Racing, and we're kicking off a brand new season of SNN. Tony Trapasso, David, Matt Mettler up in the booth with you tonight. And Matt, you're a little newer to this league than I am, but we're both kind of getting thrown into the deep end right off the rip here.
Kind of getting thrown into the deep end. And Tony, I feel that's where we excel at. And like you said, the wait is over. We're past the Super Bowl. And for everyone that has a V8 as a heart pumping blood through their veins, they know what that means. It is time for Daytona. And we get ready to fire these boys up under the lights tonight. And once again, the nighttime is the right time.
It absolutely is. Short field for the first race. We're hoping to get some more bodies in for race number 2, but this first one should go pretty quick. It looks like, if I'm not mistaken, we're doing 60 laps. You're doing solo qualifying to kick this piece off. So everybody should be, as we are on lone qualifying. And let's take a look. It looks like Jeff Carson's going to be one of the first ones to get it going. Sorry about that.
You know what, Tony? This brings up a great question that I'm often faced with. So speed weeks, the way that Daytona is kind of set up and structured, it's kind of everything different, right? We kind of start our season off with the Super Bowl, and with that, we do things a little out of the ordinary. And plate tracks, especially with this new car, the Aero, there's still a lot of learning that's going on. We really don't have this car figured out yet. Do you, as a team owner or as a driver, do you want to be the first out there on the racetrack and lay down a lap? Or do you kind of want to sit back for a little bit and see where the times fall and then hit the track?
I've learned everything that I could in the practice session. I've done my taped off runs, well, they're not allowed that anymore. That's illegal. But, I've done my qualifying trim runs. I know what the car is going to feel like. I know what the driver can expect. And, these lap times that we're seeing out of these guys right now here in solo qualifying, it's right on par from where the NIS Open qualifying was. We got guys already dipping down sub 50 seconds as Joe Stafford goes to the top of the pile.
Yeah, and right on cue, Tony, like you said, I mean, a 49.62, sub 50 second, and that's right in the ballpark. You're absolutely right. And then if we, go down the list from there, and again, this is just, preliminary results, the 44, Sean Rogers, I mean, he's right there at a 49.66. I mean, top 3. 49.6s, across the board. I mean, look how tight these cars are, and that just goes to show you how that just that little bit of an extra input on the steering wheel, you catch a breeze wrong, you drift a little bit, and there goes your pole run, potentially down to 10th, 11th, 12th place, starting this thing.
Well, as far as weather conditions go, these aren't ideal. What really has me worried is the fact that we're bucking 8-mile-an-hour winds, and there's straight headwinds down the back straightaway. That's the good news, is that it's not a cross breeze coming off a 2 or off a 4, but it's definitely something these guys are going to have to be mindful of. Guys and gals are going to have to be mindful of tonight, as Sim Racing Media has two of our own in this race, in the form of Dave Regal, who's currently sitting second quick, and Emily Urias, who has not been out on track yet. But right now we're watching Joe Cossey. His first lap, 52.2. That would have put him on pole in the NIS fixed last night.
So that just goes to show you how close these times are. And you know what? I'll step out on the limb here and say that, hey, maybe some of these guys, if they didn't run in that race, maybe they should have, looking here at, at least the first handful of laps here, because they are screaming fast. Like you said, the 57 of Joseph Stafford coming in at a 49.62. Our brotherhood, our right here at SRM, Dave Regal coming in at a 49.63 in third.
Well, look at this lap Cossey's on.
Well said, Tony.
Holy cow.
Woohoo!
Fifth quick. He gave it all away on the last part of the lap. He was faster than anybody on the first half of the track and then gave it all back.
Now, is it that wind you were talking about potentially playing havoc there?
It could be. It's been gusting. And let's face it, a NASCAR Cup car is like trying to push a brick through the air. And I mean, it is what it is. So, we'll keep an eye on the wind, as now it's gusting up to 9.
I mean, I guess if you're everyone except Alex Bowman, I mean, it seems like all these different things have to come together. The stars and the moon have to align, and everything has to be working in succession for you to go out there and get a pole here. There's so many different things and so many different elements that can work against you, as a race car driver and that race car.
It absolutely can, and it needs. You need to be lucky and good here at Daytona for qualifying. Not quite as important as it would be at, let's say, a short track, but it's still vastly important because you don't want to be in the big one during your qualifying race. And that's one of the things that you started to touch on when we went live about the whole format here. For Speed Weeks at Daytona, it's kind of a throwback and a nod to the old short track days, with the Cup cars running what are essentially heat races to get into the Great American Race.
Absolutely right, and that's one of the thing that one of the aspects that I personally love about Speed Weeks is the fact that they kind of pay homage, if you will, to NASCAR's roots. Yeah, they kind of modernized the terms a little bit. They changed up the lingo, but like you said, that's really at the end of the day what it is.
Do not discuss incidents on the radio for a mistake.
Oh, this is pissing me off.
Something happened.
We're taking a look here at Chris Claude.
That was Chris talking. Chris is not out on track right now. Oh, yeah. No, he's not. Chad Sander is. Emily Urias just finishing up her laps. Currently sitting 13th. Let's see if Emily's going to improve here. Lap number 2 for the young lady out of Iowa.
Survey says
improves time, does not improve position, as Chad Sander jumps up to 12. Aiden Hill out on track right now as well. We're just waiting on David Frug to put a time on the board. As Hill goes first lap, he's now on the clock.
As Hill's now on the clock. And there's another one of our own Emily Urias currently coming in at a 49.78. That's going to put her in the 14th spot as of right now in that Ford Mustang.
Her and Dave Regal flying the SRM colors tonight, though you can't really tell that well on Dave's car, as he's got Wawa on that Chevy tonight.
Hey, sometimes, Tony, you got to eat, right? And when you got to eat, sometimes Wawa's not a bad spot. Great menu choice, a lot of selections.
I like their sandwiches.
I do too. And Wawa, if you're listening, you want to come on board, hey, we'll take you. I mean, SRM, we got a spot for you right here.
Well, we've got that, and if you guys are thinking of expanding outside of the great state of Pennsylvania, or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, as most people will correct me on, you need to come up to Central New York, Finger Lakes area.
Well, not that I want to talk about Wawa here, but didn't they originate in Pennsylvania?
They did.
So you would think that, New York should be a no-brainer.
They've gone south, they haven't gone north.
Yeah, they've popped up all over the place down here in Florida in the past year or so. You can't turn a corner without seeing one.
Yeah, that was kind of refreshing when I was down in Miami for the race back in October. I knew even if everything else went horribly wrong, I knew I could still get a good sandwich about a block and a half from the house we were staying in.
And that's literally any time of day. So, Tony, let's morph here for a second. So we talked about all the attributes of qualifying and all the different things that can happen to the race car, the driver, the performance of the car, how it can be affected. But on the other side of that, Daytona, as we know, that's the race that anybody has a chance. If you're in it, you can win it. And that's, Daytona. Yeah, we'll throw Talladega in there, and I'm not so sure about the new hybrid Atlanta. But all these drivers, all 18 cars ready to go here and do battle here this Thursday night in primetime. Every single one of these competitors have a chance to win. So with that being said, maybe some strategy there by some of these drivers not taking a time, perhaps.
It's a good possibility on that one. Want to start towards the back, want to stay out of... I'm one of those guys that, at the plate tracks, I'd rather see it happening in my windshield than cringing at it happening in my rearview mirror.
Well, I'll speak from experience here, recently being in the driver's seat in this next-gen car. On plate tracks, I am a wreck magnet. And it's literally just off the nose of my race car. I got to carry about 4 or 5 spare racing suits right down in my pit stall because usually mayhem breaks loose right off my nose. I used to feel like that, but since I've been in so many woulda, coulda, shouldas, I'd rather see him in my rearview mirror as for right now.
Well, Matt, it looks like the first race anyways is, and that's not what that needs to say. Looks like the first race is starting to grid up. Let's take a quick look at our starting grid. Starting on the pole is going to be Joe Stafford in the 57 tonight. He's going to be joined with Dave Regal in the 8-ball. Alex Princeton and Sean Rogers going to roll it from row number 2. As there's Joseph Coffey and Jeremy Miller in row 3. Travis Cranborg and Alex Murray are going to roll it from row number 4 as the pace car starts to roll. Clayton Davis and Jeff Carson going to start from row number 5, with row 6 going to Chad Sanner and Charles Eaton. Emily Urias and Matt Gaskin are going to start in row number 7. Excuse me. With row 8 going to Brian Tarnowski and David Frug.
Yeah, and David Frug there's going to start in the 16th position there. And the final row here tonight, 17th, Aiden Hill. And rounding out your 18 drivers here, getting ready to set the green flag here tonight, that 51 machine, that ZL1 Camaro of John Boudoir.
Yes.
Bawalda, thank you, Tony.
Only because I've been scolded about that before in broadcasts about this league. Sorry, John. We'll get it straight sooner or later, I promise. But here we go. First race that's going to actually count towards points here in the 2023 season for the Davis Brothers Roofing Sunday Night NASCAR Series. Davis Brothers Roofing, of course, celebrating their 40th anniversary of being in business this year, and we are proud to have them back as the title sponsor of the league. As the field works its way out of turn number 4, Geico restart zone is in effect. Stafford has the button. The only thing that's to it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab the popcorn because it's time to get it on in prime time. Race fans, it's showtime!
Oh, that's right. It is showtime here at Daytona as Florida comes thunder into life as Joseph Stafford leads them down into turn 1 as they're climbing up through the gearbox in that 57 machine. That freight train is going to get a rolling here, Tony. And with only limited number of laps on the clock, look for the escalation, especially for these guys in the back, to really start hitting the button to make some moves here early on. Because, as you know, time is of the essence, and that clock is running now.
Well, that was the one thing we were looking at last night when I did spot for Frank Marchese in the NIS fixed race. You're looking right around 40 laps for a full load of fuel. So these guys are going to have to make at least one stop tonight in this race, because there's no way you're getting 60 out of one tank.
No, there's no way you're getting 60 out of one tank, that's for certain. So you know what that means, Tony? That tells me you better have a teammate, you better have a friend out there to come down and pit with, because as you know, the fall off running out there by yourself first and in a pack of 2 or 3 cars, that could easily be the outcome of the race.
As we see that outside lane starting to form up now. It took a couple laps to get organized. Dave Regal leading the outside charge. He's got the 44 of Sean Rogers up there with him as they are trying to make some headway. Now, the thing is, the outside lane can have the speed, but they've got to stay together and they've got to push. And that's the biggest thing. It's the first race of the season. It's early going. You don't want to be too overly aggressive here, only on lap 3 of 60.
Well, I know what you just said there, Tony, but the Tasty Cake sign must be lit on Dave Regal's back bumper, because that Miller Time vehicle there, that Chevrolet Monte Carlo, being piloted by Sean Rogers, was a pushing, and it pushed Dave Regal right to the front, and he brought Miller Time with him.
Chevrolet Monte Carlo? What?
I was reminiscing back at the earlier days.
Camaro, kid.
I know. I was watching the 01 500 earlier, and I guess it kind of stuck.
Okay. Regal and Rogers showing the way out in front right now. I've ridden with Joe Stafford enough to know that he's comfortable letting those guys lead the first couple of laps. It's not what happens on lap 4. Doesn't matter who's leading right now. It's who can get to the finish line first after 60. Joe Stafford is comfortable riding in traffic. He's got some guys around him that, they know what they're doing. As we are on board with Stafford right this second here. The pride of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, as we're going to go up there, we're going to make a third line there, and looks like someone's going to get cut or caught in the sucker hole there. Oh, they touch. Near disaster early.
That could have ended all sorts of poorly. I believe that was Emily Urias. Yes, it was. As she is now the trail car in this lead pack of 12.
Yeah, that just goes. Yeah, Tony, and that just goes to show you how fast things can happen here in a hurry. All could be calm. You get hung out to dry, and the next thing you know, as you like to say, you're the meat in the sandwich. And sometimes when the 2 slices of bread touch together, things happen quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I agree with Emily's decision. If that's me right now, talking about, let's shift gears here, like perhaps to the mental strategy here, the chess game, if you will. I bet you there's some seasoned veterans right now that are sitting inside their race cars going, you know what, you boys go have at it, run up front. But as these laps wind down, because it really only need to lead the last lap, I'll start making my move. I'll save my equipment. As we see a shower of sparks coming off these cars as they're currently going through turns 3 and 4.
And that's the biggest thing about this car. And one of the complaints everybody was having yesterday was this car bottoms out something fierce. It's the belly pan that's under this car to give it that aero. You know, as a matter of fact, let's go on board with, as you can kind of see it there, as we're on board with Jeremy Miller. We're not going to be able to see it on Crayborg here.
Yeah, not to cut you off there, Tony.
There you can see it.
That is incredible.
Just how much sparks these things are throwing.
You know, and this is probably a fallacy on my part, but I thought for certain someone had some trouble. There is a piece of the body dragging on the racetrack. I've never seen that many sparks flying at Daytona from cars doing what they're supposed to do around the racetrack. I thought there was a legit issue.
We saw it last year at Daytona in the night race. There were a lot of sparks being thrown last season when this car debuted. You know, and the fact that these guys are still sorting this car out in iRacing. You can see that splitter, and that's really what we're talking about, is that splitter at the bottom of the bumper on those two cars up in front. And then there's a flat belly that they bolt on underneath the car to keep it a nice smooth flow under, which is one of the reasons why this new car has had so many problems trying to catch a slide. Oh, that's not good. Don't ever push the pusher. What are you doing, sir?
Yeah, that's one of the lessons I had to learn the hard way, you know, as I was coming up through the license ranks here, if you will. When you're in a three-car pack like that and you have the lead car with a face full of front air dam, if you're the third car in line, like you said, Tony, you don't want to be the pusher. I believe the appropriate position is going to be just off the back of that car, using the air to push you forward, not so much your bumper touching the pusher, as you said.
Right. You want to push what they call pushing the bubble, because there's an arrow, there's a bubble of air around these cars. That as the air flows over, it creates a bubble behind the car. Think of it as the next time you're on the highway, get behind a tractor trailer and see how close you can get without the steering wheel starting to shake. That's basically what we're talking about at this point. And you don't want to actually physically contact that car in front of you if you're third in line. You want to just push their bubble. And what'll happen is that'll bring all three of you further forward. But right now, these top 11 have just walked away from the rest of the field to the tune of 6 seconds.
Yeah, in 6 seconds, that is astronomical, especially at a plate track here. And as you know, Tony, you better have some dancing partners if you want to make up that type of deficit, especially under green flag conditions here. But take a look here. Dave Regal, that 44 machine, they're still nose to tail. That 9 being piloted right now, it looks like, by Joseph Causey. He's working with that group of cars there as well. You got a couple Toyotas. I'm sorry, the Toyota trio up front there. They're running 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry. How big of a manufacturer nameplate comes into play here at this racetrack?
After last night, I don't know anymore. Because that was the one thing that Frank and I figured out was as I was spotting for him. If he got behind a Toyota, he could suck up to it. If he got behind a Ford, good luck. If he got behind a Chevy, he could run with it but not catch it.
You know what? And I'm glad you had that similar experience. And I'm going to go just jostle real quickly over to my race in MSRL. And I was driving the Ford Mustang. I'm a big Ford fan. But it seemed like if I was trying to push a Toyota, forget about it. My car wasn't happy. There was no balance. I picked up a ton of understeer, especially on older tires. But if I got behind a Camaro, I mean, that car felt like $1 million, and we could haul to the front. But, you know, that's why I was asking you, Tony, because, like I said, you have a ton of experience. You certainly have the knowledge base. And that's kind of where I was going with this. Does it matter anymore? Does it not? I think you did a great job of answering that question.
At least that's what it appeared to be. There's any truth to that. if anybody from iRacing is listening, I'm sorry if that's not the case or not supposed to be the case, but that's just what we noticed during that 500-mile race last night.
You know, since we're on the subject, it also seemed to me like the Mustangs kind of, I don't want to use the word advantage, but it seems like the Mustangs could really push on each other harder than, let's say, the Camaros and the Toyotas could as well.
They could. The bumpers seem to line up a little bit better on brand. The Chevys, it was difficult to get 2 Chevys to line up. 2 Toyotas, there weren't enough in the field. But when you got a Chevy behind a Toyota, you were going to the front.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, I'll second you on that one, and that was how it was from my perspective in the driver's seat too as well. And I'm sure as this car evolves more, as more rule changes are made. Oh, there's a 59 has a whoa moment and catches a little bit of the apron.
Well,
that
is
is
a lap car. That is Chance Sanner, who is now officially a lap down.
Well, things do happen quick here at Daytona. And I guess as I was tracking through the field there, I just seen him. I didn't realize he was a lap car. I thought he had gotten down there to the flat. And I was just going to say, if you accidentally do that, one, don't advance your position. That double line is out of bounds. And the other part, that's a heck of a handful when you transition from that banking down to the flat of that apron.
Well, here's the biggest thing that I excuse me. Sinuses, it's that time of year. But if you are new to the iRacing servers, the one about that, bear with me a second, folks.
Hey, not a problem, Tony. You get that taken care of, and we're going to take you back to the front of the field as Travis in that Toyota Camry is flying, turning some crazy lap times out here right now with the help of his Toyota teammates. Last time by, the top 3 all mirrored the same lap at a 46.14. Looking at top speeds between 195, now 196. Almost 200 miles an hour at the front of the field. And that is absolutely flying in this next-gen car. As we kind of see everyone single file right now, playing nice, if you will, for now. A little bit of give and take going on the racetrack. But folks at home, I promise you that will change as these laps wind down and those natural driver instincts take over. Eventually, all bets are off and you go and you do your job as a race car driver, and that's to advance your car as many positions as possible on the racetrack or go and get that W, as that's what it's all about these days. The sponsors want the time. You want the glory as the race car driver, and you're darn right that team wants to celebrate kicking off a brand new season. But right now, that's not the case. We're really not seeing the hornet's nest of brewing right now. Is everyone single file, leaving plenty of space in case there's an uh-oh moment as we watch this lead pack or this lead train absolutely rip around this 2-mile oval. Some other things we got to talk about here. We're currently working lap 17 already as we've been under green flag since the initial start of this race. So, like we said in the pre-race notes, these guys aren't getting 100% fuel load here, so fuel is going to become an issue. You're going to have to pit. So I imagine some of these drivers, perhaps Dave Regal, Emily Urias, trying to, use that spotter, use that crew chief on top of the pit box. Start making deals because if you want to remain in this lead pack, you're going to have a friend coming off of pit road, because the last thing you want to do is be a sitting duck coming off, because you're going to be running, sometimes 10 to 15 miles an hour slower than these guys, that are single file right now, working the bottom to middle line around this racetrack. As we continue here to watch these guys do battle here at Daytona, putting on lap 19 on the board. Now, you don't want to do that, and you don't want to go down there below that double yellow line. If you have to avoid an incident, that's one thing, but you certainly don't want to advance your position and That rule is, as far as I know, specific to plate tracks only. So that's going to be Daytona and Talladega. They have that double yellow line. That is out of bounds. Ask Tony Stewart and a couple other guys up in the Fox booth what happens when you go down there. It's usually never a good thing unless you're forced down there. Back to the front of the field we go here once again. Nothing really changing up front. Toyota is dominating the first 4 positions here. You got to go all the way back to 5th to find your first Chevrolet, and lo and behold, that is the 8 machine being piloted by David Regal in that SRM machine here tonight.
I guarantee you, if he does win tonight, there's going to be tasty cakes all around tomorrow in the board meeting.
There better be tasty cakes all over in the board meeting, because I'll tell you what, having the tasty cakes plastered all over that race car is getting some guys hungry, and they want to work with them. They want to push him. That may be a really good strategy play there by Dave's part.
Well, you take a look at the car right behind him, Chipotle Grill. I mean, Chipotle and tasty cakes? Never would have thought that 2 great tastes would taste great together, but here we are.
Here we are, and right now, I mean, I could go for it. Heck, you know, I'm getting hungry just sitting here watching these things, and I'm not even breaking a sweat. I'm sure some of these guys are. You know, so many different things you have to look at while you're running this race, right, Tony? It's not just keeping your eyes out the windows and your hands at 10 and 2. You're looking for the runs. You're listening to your spotter. You're trying to get always monitoring your situational awareness. Where are you? Is the cars in front of me? Am I closing? Am I backing off? Who's coming to me as we see that Miller Lite car closing right back in on the back of that ZL1 Camaro?
You might want to refresh your trading paints. But,
thank you.
Getting back to what I was trying to say before my lungs decided to come out of my mouth, the biggest thing that I can tell anybody that's looking to get into iRacing and possibly start running on these plate tracks, Daytona, Talladega, for a new Atlanta is another perfect example of this, is if you become a car that you're about to go a lap down, be predictable and give way to the lead group of cars, because as you mentioned earlier, you're going to be 10, 15, 20, 30 sometimes miles an hour off the pace, and you should get up and out of their way as opposed to make that line move around you. Yes, it is the leader's responsibility to make the safe pass on a lapped vehicle, but A, be predictable so that they can, and B, if you can, get out of the way. Once the freight train passes you, then you can get back in line and maybe get your lap back the hard way, as we call it, where you race yourself back to the front of the field and hope for a caution to come out.
And if you guys
go ahead.
And if you guys are curious what happens when it goes wrong, go to YouTube and type in Kevin LePage.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
you are
Tony,
my hero.
I had to go there.
Well, that was something I was mentioning to Frank earlier when we were doing a Swedish league earlier today at Pocono. Do you know where the cone is? Like, you see that blue cone on the exit of 2 there? You know where the cone is at Pocono?
The exit cone at Pocono, I believe, is right basically at the entrance to turn 1.
It's 100 yards after the pit wall.
I always thought that was an odd position especially at that type of a racetrack, but hey, I'm not NASCAR and I'm not a paid official, so I always went with it.
There's no apron in turn 1 to get down onto.
No, you're basically pulling right up into traffic.
And at the speeds you can hit at a place like Pocono, or even here tonight, is I just saw somebody go 203. Holy cow.
Yeah, I'm seeing actually a 204 and a 205 right now. I'm seeing that by the currently residing in 8th position, that Ford Mustang of Clayton Davis with the top speed of 205 miles an hour.
That's moving. I mean, plate track or not, that is moving. That is holding the man And, like we said earlier, you can throw a blanket basically over your top 11, as there is Davis. He's going to have to be careful he doesn't lose this draft. Now, the good news is that is a Toyota directly in front of him. And as you and I both found out yesterday, you can suck up to a Toyota pretty well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I guess that is the silver lining right now, if you will. But let's talk about 14th on back right now. So starting with Matthew Gaskins in that 79 machine, 14th through 17th already find themselves one lap down in this one. Tony, we're working lap 26. Are your short pit receptors going off at all right now to try to get back into this one? How do you
hard no?
Hard no.
I'm going to at least halfway in this.
You're going to at least halfway in this. You know what? I guess maybe I look at things a little bit differently. If I'm that far back, I want to try and do something different than what the leaders are doing, because clearly what I'm doing just is not the formula for success right now. Wait a little longer, see if you get that caution flag. But if we continue to stay green and they still continue to gap us, I'm going to try and throw the marbles at the wall per se, and see if I can find a way to get myself back up there with this lead group.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you're Aiden Hill, John Bawalda, and Matt Gaskins right now in 12th, 13th, and 14th, you're kind of in no man's land. As you've got about a half a track difference between yourselves and the race leaders, but you're about 9 seconds to the good over 15th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. They're all got big separations right now. As Chad Sander is in the pits, he hit something. I don't know what he hit, but he had to have hit something because he's getting damage repair right now. He's been over 4 minutes on pit road.
Yeah, he definitely did hit something there, and that kind of caught my eye there as he was making his entrance. I know we didn't see anything or any incidences out here on the racetrack as of recent, but nonetheless, that damage had to come from somewhere.
And it's a plate track. It can come from just about anywhere. As a matter of fact, you can have damage and it won't register in the sim. You won't be able to see it on the car. But, that was one of the things, one of the cars Frank was working with all race last night. I come to find out after the race that he had damage and it never registered. You look at the car, it looked fine.
Yeah, and as a race car driver, that's got to be a little troubling, right? Because, you would like to have some type of notification, whether if it's the damage notification that the simulator gives you, or, just feeling it or seeing it in the race car, especially with a car like this where aerodynamics are virtually everything.
And that's exactly the case, as, you need this car to be as aero perfect as you possibly can at a place like Daytona or Talladega or the new Atlanta. Now, the good news is with this car, everybody's playing from the same sandbox. You can't really, how should I put this, mess with the body panels too much in this car, considering it is mostly a carbon fiber body. So it's all coming out of the same molds.
Yeah, it's all coming out of the same mold, and don't dare put a piece of tape on this car. Not like the old car, because, we've seen some hefty penalties last season when I believe it was some of the Gibbs team that were playing with that idea, correct?
Yes, it was. And it used to be that, at Daytona and Speedway, you'd hear all the time, oh, there's a piece of debris on my grill. Let me bump draft this guy and get it off. Wait, what? How does that work? And then you watch them, they bang the bumper and there goes the piece of debris.
Yeah,
how does that work?
Yeah, how does a hot dog wrapper or a piece of pretzel cellophane that is being just absolutely pressed to the limit on the front of that race car going, nearly 200 miles an hour, and you come up you come up behind, Johnny on the spot, if you will, and all of a sudden it loses all that force and it goes, tumbling off the race car. It was magical watching that, and that's something you really don't get to see anymore.
One of the reasons why I went to engineering school. Because I wanted to learn, like, why does that happen? And, then you learn it and the magic's gone, but if you're still a race fan, you're still a race fan.
Well, Tony, let me ask you a question. You may not see the paper tricks as much, if you will, but all that rubber coming off these tires, as you like to say, being shredded out there by a cheese grater, especially on certain tracks, the old Atlanta, for example, that has to go somewhere in the front of that race car, right?
It does. It does go onto the grill. But what a lot of teams have figured out is how to keep the debris out of their grill is, you have the air box open in front of the car. As a matter of fact, let's see if we can get, there you see it, down towards the bottom, under the bow tie of Dave Riegel's car, as we're on board with Joe Stafford. So you've got that cutout in the body, and then you've got ductwork behind that, and it leads into the radiator. Well, what a lot of teams are doing is they're hanging another piece of grill material behind that inside the ductwork, so that bigger pieces, if they do make it through the outer grill, they've got to hit that inner protection before they make it to the radiator and possibly put a hole in. Now, if you hit something at 200 miles an hour, yes, it's going through your radiator, but you have a better shot at the small pieces, the rocks, the marbles, and all that other happy.
And so for just to keep it simple, it's almost like a double filtration system up there. If something gets through, you hope the next layer of protection picks it up. But as we got a big shift here, as pit road decides to come to life. Oh, we're in the grass. The 21's off the nose of the 75. Big doings all of a sudden coming to life here on pit road is the 44 is somehow back out on the racetrack.
Well, he never got to the commitment cone.
Well, that would explain that.
Let's take a look at this right now. Here's everybody coming in. Rogers locks him up, gets into the grass, knows he can't get to that yellow cone, and just sends it through the grass, hoping somebody else messes up worse than he did.
Yeah, I guess I had a little bit of a slight frame lag there, because I never seen his attempt onto pit road and going through the grass. I thought something maybe had happened on the entry to pit road. He had gotten bumped from behind and squirted him back out on the racetrack. But, I think this is a track where, pit road doesn't get enough credit on how tumultuous it can be given the right circumstance, as we just saw here live.
It is very difficult to get on and off pit road cleanly and hit your marks. As we're following along right now with the 76 of Clayton Davis, currently leading this piece. He's got the 71 of David Frug Jr. with him. I'm assuming those guys are teammates, being as, yeah, here we go. They're definitely communicating with each other. But Jeff Carson, fuel only, winning the battle off pit road in the in that Toyota number 9.
Yeah, fuel only. Tony, in my opinion, that's a little bit of a gutsy call. I mean, not even taking 2. Obviously, you got to have the punch in the car to make it to the end. But tires, I mean, yeah, we typically don't talk about Daytona and being very abrasive on tires, but that's asking a lot of laps out of those Goodyear Eagles.
You can double stint. The tire that iRacing has given these cars here at this track this year to at least start 2023, you can double stint them, no problem. So, fuel only, I can't blame Carson. He really didn't have a lot to lose, because he was deep in that lead group when they came on the pit road. Hell with that gamble.
Yeah, I mean, I love the call. I was just concerned about the tires, and until you just kind of filled the gaps in there, I mean, how bad does someone want it? I mean, Jeff Carson, hats off to you, man, for pulling the trigger. And you got to be catching some of these drivers off guard. But just like that, as scoring shows it right now, iRacing is, there it is, it's updated now. Jeff Carson, your new leader in that Toyota on the fuel-only stop.
And there's two cars in front of him, the 75 of Charles Eaton and the 21 of Kevin Framework. You know, those are both lap cars, but Toyota stable, you know, they're going to try to do what they do to try to do what they can to try to help each other here. As right now, Joe Stafford is a man on an island by himself.
Yeah, he's kind of like Wilson, if you will, right now. It's like you said, he's kind of on an island, or Revis Island if you were a Jets fan back in the day. But, Tony, there's one thing that changes everything here, and we still haven't seen it yet, is we're working suddenly lap 39, almost 40 laps in the books here in Duel 1.
And I don't think either one of us wants to speak it into fruition, but you are right. We almost saw it there, but luckily we stayed green so far.
Yeah, I mean, great heads-up driving, you know, just on display there. Is I can't, you know, how many times have we see at Daytona, especially under the lights, when someone, you know, gets jostled entering pit road, usually that turns into I don't want to say Calamity Corner, but Calamity Pit Road entrance, and everyone survives to fight another day.
I mean, it may not have been pretty, but I mean, nobody got popped for speeding on, from what I could see. Actually, I take that back. Eaton and Crayborg did get popped for speeding on. Both of them were. That's why they are now the last two cars on the lead lap, technically. Both of them were held for extra time in pit road.
Yeah, so certainly, I mean, their camp didn't want to see that, as those penalties are definitely, you know, very difficult to overcome, especially with a limited set of laps at the pace these guys are running. But hey, if you're on the track and your car's in one piece, you still have a chance, as of right now at least.
You still do technically have a chance, and that's all you need. You need to be on the lead lap when the white flag drops. As we are now 20 to go officially in this one. Carson, Stafford, Miller, and Murray, your top four, all in this lead group, with Joe Stafford being the only non-Toyota in that lead group that is currently being led by two lap cars, as Charles Eaton and Travis Crayborg back in 10th and 11th. And then you're almost 7 seconds back to this group being led by Clayton Davis. That's Davis and Alex Princeton in 5th and 6th, with the 71 of Frug being a lap car. And then you're another 6 seconds back to this group being led by our buddy Dave Regal.
Yeah, Dave Regal certainly, I mean, he's sitting in, I don't want to say he's in the best position possible in the house, but right now he's P7. He's down a couple spots from where he started. -5 right now on the pylon, or at least in our timing and scoring right now.
Yeah.
But hey, Dave Regal, I mean, he knows his way around this racetrack, and, definitely don't count him out by any means. But as we continue to watch these three cars up front, led by the tireless wonder right now, or I'm sorry, led by Jeff Carson right now.
No, you're right. Tireless wonder.
Tireless wonder, Jeff Carson right now. I thought, honestly, Tony, I thought he would have a little bit of difficulty holding the lead right now with potentially those Dr. Feelgoods starting to become Dr. Feelbads. But like you said, with this update on the tire package, looks like so far, I mean, smooth sailing for Jeff Carson.
Yeah, I mean, 40 laps in the lowest I saw yesterday after 40 laps of hard running was like 94% left on the left front. Everything else was 95 and above. So, it's a good tire, and it's one thing we've seen the last couple of seasons out of iRacing. Since they have rolled out this latest tire model is at the plate tracks you can double stint. As there is Aiden Hill going another lap down in the HD Supply number 90.
Yeah, and thanks for the update and the insight there, Tony. I was not aware of that, and obviously, I'm sure these drivers are aware of it. And if any of you guys watching out there, you guys jump on and get some sim time. Now you're well aware, thanks to Tony's great track info and insight on these race cars and the current package for this next gen car, at least as it stands right now. Is Jeff Carson here? He started in 10th. He's P1, leading the crazy train around this high bank oval as we're working lap 45. As the laps start to wind down, Tony, when do we start to see that anticipation pick up? When does it kind of go next level, if you will?
I'd say with about 5 to go. 5 to go is where you really have to get up on the wheel. You're using that first green flag run, to kind of gauge how long it's going to take you to get to the front of the line. If you were able to do it, great. If you weren't able to do it, hopefully you learned something. Because with 5 to go, all the patience are out the window, the aggression level gets ramped up exponentially, and it becomes go time.
You're right. All the IOUs, well, I did this, you did that. That's gone, right? I mean, that's when, the drivers start seeing red and they're gritting their teeth just a little bit harder and they're flexing on that steering wheel. And if they see just a little bit of daylight, if they can advance their position, you're darn right they're going to take it. And, we'll watch this as this progresses and starts to escalate, Tony. But right now, I mean, how about the 75, though, on this 21 holding on dear life just in front of the 9 machine?
That is Eaton and Krayborg. Both of them did get popped for speeding onto pit. They were held in their box another 45 seconds. And fortunately, they were able to get out in front of the leader. And Jeff Carson is happily using them as what we call a fuel pig. Just riding right now and not having to be the one to punch the hole in the air. And I'm wondering how much longer he's going to do that, being as both those two cars in front of him did get fresher tires. But Joe Stafford, second place right now in the 57, also went late.
All right, so, I guess ironically in this one, we got fresh tires up front, per se, of looking at this train, if you will. And then P1 and P2, their tires are on the older side of the spectrum, that being the 9 and the 57, like you said, of Joseph Safford. Going on back through the field in third, Jeremy Miller. Fourth, up 4 spots, that's Alex Murray in another Toyota. Toyotas really seem to have a handle right now, at least in the speed department, and they're working pretty well together too as well. I might add, at least as of right now. And in fifth, that Ford Mustang, the first Ford on the scoring pylon, is all the way back in fifth.
And if you take a look at third, fourth, and fifth of Miller, Murray, and Davis, those guys did take only 2. I take that back. Miller and Murray took 4. Davis took 2. Princeton took no tires, fuel only, and then 2 in fuel and different penalties going back from there.
Yeah, so we're seeing a bunch of different strategies here on display, and that cycle of pit stops certainly did kind of shuffle the order, if you will. But right now, I think the call of the race, at least as it stands for this time being, is that 9 Toyota of Jeff Carson. As he used some strategy there to have a quick pit stop. He puts himself in position to come out on point, and he remains the point car. And as you said, a little bit of a bonus there from the 2 lap cars right off his nose. Not having to punch the air, which is in my opinion, could be a little bit of a sleeper, or a what's the word I'm looking for here? A blind assassin, if you will, in the fuel mileage category. But guess what? Not today for that 9 machine. because he's all over the back of that 21 machine.
Well, I dare say that, right now Carson is just seeing how long it's going to take him to suck up to somebody. So if Crayborg wants to get around Eaton, if Carson sees an opening, he's going to go with him just to see how long it's going to take. But the big thing he's got to be mindful of is Stafford, Miller, and Murray are all right behind him. And I mean, line them up. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see the anticipation starting to build here as we're not pretty much single file, couple, a half car length back, a quarter car length back. Oh, is at the back of the field. Someone jumps out of line there. I thought they were going to take a run there. Maybe they caught a little bit of wheel or got loose. But I thought we started to see that freight train break apart and start a second line, but that does not seem to be the case as that Ford Mustang comes back down in line.
Now that was the 90 of Aiden Hill and the 6 of Emily Urias, as they've now latched on to the tail end of this lead crew. And only being one lap down, I mean, if they figured out how to work together, they can have a shot at getting their lap back the hard way.
Exactly. And I guess, that's one of the good things, right, about having some seat time, having some track time with another competitor on the racetrack. You can kind of learn where your cars are good at, where your strong points are, and kind of simulate that, kind of how we've seen there with the 9 machine of Jeff Carson. As you said, he was timing the run there to see how long it would take to get up to the back of that 21 machine. So you can do that, certainly under green flag conditions. You're absolutely right.
I'm thinking Sean Rogers might have some nose damage that's not really registering, because when he was sucked up, he was good. Now that he's being pushed by the 90, he's drifting back off that lead group in front. Well, now they're catching up. I stand corrected.
Yeah, but still, it wasn't easy for him to catch back up. He needed, it looked like a good amount of help to do so. But, like you said, right on schedule, here they come. That outside line is starting to take shape, Tony. So here we go.
And all three of them are a lap down currently, as they are trying to get their laps back the hard way. Is right now the only one they have left to get by is Carson on the low side. Now, the 44 of Rogers has had speed all night. This is the first chance he really had to lead a line. Oh, that's not good.
Oh.
Crayborg just had a big blink out.
Yeah, a big blink out. And when that's the last thing you want to see, right, Tony? Especially at a place like Daytona with the laps widened down.
That's what you generally refer to as a first you say it, then you do it kind of moment.
Well said.
That outside lane still trying to get back up there. Emily Urias leading the outside charge now. She's got the 30 and the 40 with her. This could be some good news if they can get to her. But it looks like they're running into what you were running into yesterday, where the Ford seems to be a better pusher, and the Toyota seems to be a better bullet leader, being pushy, should we say?
That's exactly right. And it was at first I thought, it was just my mind playing tricks with me as as I was out front. I figured, hey, we're going to go. And we went the opposite direction in a hurry on the outside, and, just got on team radio communication and say, hey, let's just flip-flop. And as soon as we switched positions, there we came back again on the outside of the field. So that could have been the case there, Tony.
It absolutely can be. As we're taking a look at the front of this piece right now. The 44 of Rogers, the 75 of Eaton, the 21 of Craneboard are all one lap down. The 90, unfortunately, of Aiden Hill is 2 laps down. He's on the backside of only being 1 down. So Rogers, Eaton, and Craneboard are all three are now technically still on the lead lap with the leader behind them in the form of the 9 of Carson.
All right, so let me see how to phrase this. So if we were to, let's say, slow things down a little bit, with the way the ruling is and the scoring is in this league, is the lucky dog the only candidate to get the lap back, or Does this league allow wave cars as well?
Well, the cars that are in front of Carson right now are all technically still on the lead lap, so they get to come around and latch onto the tail end of the field. With right now the lap car, the sole lap car in this group is going to be the 79 of Gaskins. There he is at the tail end of this little deal, provided he's not involved in what caused that colored flag that we don't want to talk about.
Oh no! What a save! What a save!
Yellow flag is out.
By the 9 as he takes the Evel Knievel line, and there it is. That's got to bring out a caution. Darn it, Tony, I did not want... I even said slow things down.
We were trying not to say it.
Hey, if you have any hate mail, please send it to jleach@gmail.com, and he'll be happy to respond back to you guys.
Let's take a look at what did happen with Miller. There you see him on the third car in the outside lane, the purple and black. And... Oi, that was your race leader.
Yeah, big yikes up front as the leader goes for a wild run through the infield abyss here at Daytona. And this changes everything, right, Tony? Just like we were talking about a few moments ago. Now those cars that were doing everything they could to stay in front. Oh.
Okay, so that's what happened was the 21 got into the 75 and the 9 got turned because of it.
Chain reaction.
Not a ton of damage, but enough.
Yeah, certainly enough. But now this kind of changes everything, right, Tony? This is going to kind of give you a chance to come down pit road here if you want. Oh, look at this. The 9 decides, nope, I'm going to go right back to what worked last time, and I'm going to take this Ford Mustang, and I'm going to put it back out on the racetrack after I just mowed the grass.
Well, both he and Stafford electing to stay out. Apparently they want the clean air as opposed to fresh tires, but now the good news is that's letting the 8 of Dave Griegel, the 88 of Joseph Coffey, Sean Rogers, Travis Klingborg, Jeremy Miller all getting back into the mix now as unfortunately the Eaton went for a ride, so the 75 is still on pit road. He had to tow that one.
Yeah, there's no way that car was coming back to pit road under its own power. That was a ride, a wild one here that breaks out late in Duel 1. If you guys are new to SRM, make sure you become part of the family. Smash that like button, ring the bell, come home to us. We got high-octane eSIM or racing action 7 days a week. And don't forget, tonight, when this one's over, we ain't done yet. Reload the popcorn, as Tony likes to say, and make sure you come right back here because we're going to re-rack them, restack them, and do it all over again once we run this one to the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to step away, but when we do come back, we're still going to. We're not going to go away from the broadcast. We're just Matt and I are going to step away for a little bit, but Matt. First impressions of SNN.
First time seeing it, being up here in the broadcast booth, obviously you get to really soak it in. You get to see all the driving. You get to see, just all the aspects of the racing action. And these guys and gals definitely have some skill. I mean, just the woulda, shoulda, couldas, and you know where I'm going with that didn't materialize. That's, in my opinion, that's putting your skill set on full display. And they're good. They're scary good.
Well, right now we're going to find out just who is good and who's crazy brave, as Joe Stafford is going to lead us back to green this time. After starting from the pole, Jeff Carson going to start to his outside. This is the first time that Carson hasn't led since about the halfway mark when everybody decided to pile down pit road. So, and the other
Yeah,
thing to keep in mind is that all of those cars are going to, that were 15, 20 seconds back, are now right here in the mix.
Yeah, that's also going to bring Mr. Rogers, David Regal, back into the mix as well here, as he suddenly finds himself back in P4. If you remember, he was up there, dicing it up in the mix early on in this one. Well, hey, reloaded, reset, stack the deck, or shuffle them, however you want to put it. Those lights are out on the pace car, Tony, and that means one thing, sir.
Did you just call Dave Regal Mr. Rogers?
I did.
Okay.
Green, green, green.
Joe Stafford jumps on the loud pedal, and we are back underway. Green, white checker. As Stafford does get the good getaway. He's jumping up in front of Carson right now. Kossi and Crayborg up there as well. What Crayborg needed, he needed a caution. I don't think he wanted to cause it with his buddy, but he's now back on the lead lap and back in contention.
And that's ultimately the outcome he wanted, was back on the lead lap and back in contention. Oh, as we're dicing it up just behind the leader, they're going to go 3 wide, the M&M's machine. He's going to smartly squeeze it up to the outside line. As look at Dave Regal. He's got Wordbird coming on with him in that 57 machine, being pushed by the 9. And Regal is somehow up to third, and he's got his steam coming as he's getting a big old push from that Camaro, that 57 of Joseph Stafford.
And as all hell breaks loose, we are racing back to checkers. Alex Murray having to tow it back to pits. Wow. We're going to go back and take a look at that one, folks. Don't worry.
Yeah, we got to look at that one again. Oh, I don't like what I'm seeing. Oh, no. Mayhem breaks out behind the field, as it always does. It seems to do at Daytona on the final lap. So now, Tony, it's a drag race. Do you pull out like the 9 does of Jeff Carson? He was going to try and do it the hard way, just doesn't have the speed. The 76 is going to give a love tap to the 88. Here they go, side by side, reminiscent of 2012 at Daytona. Who's it going to be at the line? It's going to be the 21 machine. Are you kidding me?
After spending most of the race as the last car on the lead lap, Travis Cranborg just won at Daytona.
I am speechless. Tony, I can't believe I know it happened. I seen it happen. But that's why we said at the beginning of the broadcast, if you're in it, you can win it. And living proof at 21.
Let's go back and take a look at what happened as the white flag was coming out. Let's back that up a little bit here. Bear with me, folks. It's going to make everybody cringe as we're backing this up. This was coming to the white flag. And as there you see the 40 on the low side. Oi! 3 wide, never a good idea in the tri-oval.
Yeah, when I seen that formation taking shape, I said I had a bad feeling, and before I could finish, there they went.
And this is as they're coming out of turn 2. Stafford went for a gap that wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, that hole that looked so tempting just closed up in a hurry. And that's just a racing deal, though, right, Tony? I mean, those things happen. I mean, you're going for broke here pretty much, coming down to the checkered flag.
Let's watch this again. Keep your eye. Watch the 44 and the 8 as Stafford tries to go through the gap and just basically uses those 2 guys as clacker balls to bounce off each other. And then Crayborg just, he goes up to block the run on on the 9 who's coming. 76 was doing everything he could to push that 88 of Kossi up in there, but just too strong over those Toyotas on the outside lane tonight.
Yeah, those Toyotas, man, it just seemed like when they got hooked up, they were bad fast. And we kind of seen that coming into fruition there at the end. But if you want to talk about coming up and stealing one, I mean, look no further than your winner here in Duel 1.
And I believe you've got him with you now, Matt.
Travis, I'm going to call you the cyborg out there on the racetrack. Just laps ago, you're fighting for your life out there, hanging on the lead lap. Caution comes out, and you come across the line, P1 in the 21. Walk me through that, sir. Please break this down for us.
Well, I mean, you saw that caution come out. Just unfortunate for Charles, but his car was bobbling around, and then I think either it was aero, just bad little bump there. It kind of got him all out of shape, but it's a caution I needed. Didn't really hope for that, but I needed it, and it worked out. Restart, it was go time. I just charged to the front, and then once I got locked up with Causey, I did not back off him. I just pushed the heck out of him and made the move there at the end. Knew I was in a tough situation, so every spot mattered.
Did we lose Matt?
Nope, I'm still here. Sorry about that. I dropped there for just a moment. It sounds like, though, from the way the confidence in your voice, you knew if you got that lap back, you knew you had the confidence and the maneuverability and the speed of that race car that you were going to be able to drive it up there through the field. Did you think you were going to get all the way to the leaders? And did you think you were going to, I mean, last lap of the race, honest question, did you anticipate coming across that line P1?
Well, I mean, as soon as I got to Causey, and as long as I stayed on him, I was pretty confident that I'd be able to get it done. Prodigy Esports was put in a ton of time to the setup this week. I think it was on rails. We had trouble earlier in the week, but we got it figured out, and she's quick now.
I'll tell you what, if I'm ever a race car owner, I want you in my race car, because that never die, never give up, never quit demeanor on full display here. I mean, this man comes out on top in Daytona. Congratulations here on getting the early victory in Duel 1. Who do you want to thank on that vehicle before we cut you loose there, sir?
Yeah, like I said, everyone at Prodigy Esports, they put countless hours in the setup each and every week. BD Technology, BRTV, there's some good sponsors. P1 Coffee is one of the newer ones. We got Clips on the car, all those guys, and yeah, just once again, everyone at Prodigy, I can't thank each and every one of them enough.
We can't thank you enough for that driving display that you just put on here in prime time. Congratulations. Go enjoy it with your team. He's P1 here tonight. Tony, back to you.
Well, joining me now is the driver of the number 88, who he did push to the front of this piece towards the closing laps. Joseph Causey, all things considered, can't be too disappointed with P2 in Duel number 1.
No, everything. That was about as best I was going to get. I didn't have very much help with me being by myself. I think in this duel, I think all my teammates are in the next one. So for what I got and what I was able to get, I did pretty good.
Absolutely. I mean, you had a strong car all night, and that caution came out at just about the right time, as you were in that second group and had lost the lead back up until that caution came out.
Yeah, I think I filled the car up too much in the beginning, and when they all dropped, I was gonna try to mimic what they were doing, but they dropped so fast I couldn't slow down and quit. I wasn't gonna cause a wreck, so I had to wait till the next lap, and then I think I put too much fuel in it, which actually helped me for the end, and I was able to stay out and able to salvage a better finish out of it.
Well, Joe, kicking things off, what are your expectations for the 500 this coming Sunday?
I just hope to not die.
That says it right there.
I've had a bad streak this week with opens, and my 500 that I did yesterday did not go as the way I didn't wanted. So it's all about surviving. Just make it to the end and be on the lead lap. That's where I'm at with the whole deal. I know I got a fast car. I know if someone works with me, we're going to go forward. And that's all I could think. My our builder Roger Buff, he builds some fast freaking super speedway cars, and this one's a rocket. I just gotta have the help.
Joseph Cossey, congratulations on coming in P2 and duel number 1. That should put you starting P3. No, yeah, P3 for the 500 this coming Sunday.
That's great. It's where we want to be. We want to stay up front, be up front, and not be in the back. And I like to thank my guys that haven't done this in a while. I like to thank my guys at Hyper Force Esports. They're the ones that supplied the setup, and Bruzy and GM Don Wheaton, GM and dealership of Canada. They're all the ones that do this whole entire work, make this whole operation go around for Hyperforce, and hopefully I help my guys here on my team that they acquired me, Cyclone Motorsports, help them out, try to win a team championship here.
Joseph, again, congratulations. We will see you Sunday, my friend.
Appreciate it, guys.
And Matt, I believe you've got the man who led most of the second half of this race with you now.
Jeff Carson in the 9 machine. He shows he is not afraid to roll the dice, a.k.a. the gambler in this one. Takes it fuel only and goes out there and puts on a show for most of the second half of that race. Did you think you had the car to be able to handle out front, even though the Dr. Feelgoods may have not been as some of the others right on your tail, sir?
Yeah, tires really don't mean much, especially in a 60-lap race. So, I mean, I did take left side tires on that pit stop, but I didn't take very much fuel, which got me back out front there. But again, to me, the experience, tires really don't mean much of the 60-lap run. But having to take 10 gallons of fuel, I went ahead and took the left sides while I was waiting.
Gotcha there. So thanks for the update. I was under the impression you just did fuel only, but like you said, tires not so much a necessity in this category. Well, we'll say this week here at Daytona, you're able to go out there, work your way through some traffic. Jeff, walk me through that race. Did that kind of unfold how you foreseen this race going as you're looking over your pre-race notes, or did you kind of have to adapt in real time to this one?
Well, I was just using those lap cars in front of me as drafting partners there, and because I knew like Jeremy and them behind me, they were going to probably make a run with 5 or less to go, and having those lap cars in front of me as a drafting help, I was able to just try to hold off that run, but I was just basically there for the ride, and I just wish that caution didn't come out to find out how it would have played out at the end.
Certainly, and that was the thought going through my head, is my heart kind of pained for you when I seen that caution flag come out late, as it often does here at Daytona. But you come home third, you jump up 7 spots, and hey, I'm sure you'll take a podium when the opportunity presents itself. What have you learned from this race that you can apply to the 500?
Basically, I'm just going to be patient. No matter where I qualify where I start the race, I'm going to go to the back and just be patient. It's a long 200 laps. Don't need to win it on lap 1. So my big thing is just patience and try to have a clean car at the end so I can battle for that win.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. He comes home third tonight. You got to be in it to win it. Look for Jeff Carson to use strategy and that veteran mindset as he approaches the upcoming 500. Congratulations again on a strong run here tonight. Before we cut you loose, who helps you get it done on that 9 car?
Basically, my team here, JGR, to come out with some good setups and everything. Watson setups, I'm part of that team as well. Micro Center and Pepsi, my 2 big go-to there. And you guys up there in the booth doing an awesome broadcast.
Hey, we certainly appreciate it, Jeff. Great job out there tonight. You put on a show for everyone watching. And Tony, just like that, race 1 in the books, and we here treated to a thriller. Does race 2 outdo race 1, or do we see this same level of high-flying action we just seen here in Duel 1?
I think we're going to see a lot of high-flying action. I think we're going to hopefully we don't see anybody going airborne, but I think we're going to see a lot of side-by-side. We're going to see a lot of guys trying to figure out their runs, get their runs timed for what they're going to be able to bring to the table on Sunday for the Davis Brothers Roofing 500. So that's something we're really going to have to be mindful of. We're going to find out. That's the only thing we can say. But in the meantime, before we step away for a little bit, let's take a quick look at tonight's finishing order for race 1. Travis Craneboard coming home with the victory after running the second half of the race as the last car on the lead lap. Joseph Coffey coming home in second. Jeff Carson in third. We already heard from those three. Clayton Davis, Jeremy Miller in fourth and fifth. Alex Princeton, Sean Rogers, Joe Stafford, Dave Regal, and Alex Murray rounding out the top half of the field, with Regal being the last car scored on the lead lap. Matt?
Yeah, let's bring them the rest of the way through the field, Tony. As you said, Dave Regal being scored the last car on the lead lap. So that means in 10th, coming up just a little bit short here tonight. Not probably quite what he wanted, but nonetheless, a good showing. Top 10, that 40 machine of Alex Murray. In 11th, that's going to be the 90 of Aiden Hill. In 12th, Dave Fugue Jr. 13th, that's going to belong to Matthew Gaskins. 14th, that's going to be the 51 of John. I'm going to let you say his last name, Tony. Bowalda, thank you. I will remember that. In the 15th position, SRM's own Emily Urias in that 6 machine. 16th, that's going to belong to Charles Eaton. 17th, Brian Tarnowski. Tarnowski, thank you, Tony. And in 18th, rounding out your field tonight, that is going to be the 59 of Chad Sanner.
18 cars did battle. We've got the inside lane figured out for this coming Sunday's 500. Stay tuned, because we're going to be back here in about 30 minutes to figure out who's going to be starting on the outside on Sunday. He's Matt Metler. I'm Tony Trapasso. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Davis Brothers has been providing homeowners and businesses with exceptional roofing services since 1983. From repairing roofs on small homes to installing new roofs on large commercial retailers, no job is too big or too small. Your home is an important part of your life, and your roof is an essential part of your home. We understand that. Whether you're inspecting, repairing, or replacing your roof, we'll treat your home like it's our very own. Low slope, steep slope, big or small, it doesn't matter, we do them all. And remember, we have the capabilities and the manpower to take on any size job. When it comes to your roof, it's important to be proactive. Choose an experienced roofer you can trust. At Davis Brothers Roofing, we are your experienced roofer. Contact us today for a consultation and let us earn your trust.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
What's up, guys? Roger Debo, front tire changer for the 45 Alpha Prime car. You're watching Sim Racing Media.
Davis Brothers has been providing homeowners and businesses with exceptional roofing services since 1983. From repairing roofs on small homes to installing new roofs on large commercial retailers, no job is too big or too small. Your home is an important part of your life, and your roof is an essential part of your home. We understand that. Whether you're inspecting, repairing, or replacing your roof, we'll treat your home like it's our very own. Low slope, steep slope, big or small, it doesn't matter, we do them all. And remember, we have the capabilities and the manpower to take on any size job. When it comes to your roof, it's important to be proactive. Choose an experienced roofer you can trust. At Davis Brothers Roofing, we are your experienced roofer. Contact us today for a consultation and let us earn your trust.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Davis Brothers has been providing homeowners and businesses with exceptional roofing services since 1983. From repairing roofs on small homes to installing new roofs on large commercial retailers, no job is too big or too small. Your home is an important part of your life, and your roof is an essential part of your home. We understand that. Whether you're inspecting, repairing, or replacing your roof, we'll treat your home like it's our very own. Low slope, steep slope, big or small, it doesn't matter, we do them all. And remember, we have the capabilities and the manpower to take on any size job. When it comes to your roof, it's important to be proactive. Choose an experienced roofer you can trust. At Davis Brothers Roofing, we are your experienced roofer. Contact us today for a consultation and let us earn your trust.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
What's up, guys? Roger Debo, front tire changer for the 45 Alpha Prime car. You're watching Sim Racing Media.
And we are back at the World Center of Racing for Duel number 2. Only about 2.5 minutes left in this practice session. Joining us now, the driver of the Tasty Cakes, number 8 in the previous Duel, Mr. Dave Regal. And Dave, safe to assume you guessed wrong tonight.
That's all right. You know what? You can't win them all, can you?
Yeah, but you got to finish in order to win.
I mean, I finished. I came across the start-finish line there at the end. However, instead of in third, it was ninth. But you know what? That first duel was really hot getting through there. And I'll tell you what, the Glove Stories podcast with Greg Murphy, Chevrolet Camaro, was fantastic all night long. But unfortunately couldn't bring it home. However, you guys here in Duel number 2 have some excitement coming your way with some of the best drivers in SNN Cup Series action this way.
I'm trying to figure out how you drew the long straw and got into, because I'm looking at this lineup for Duel number 2, and this is Murderer's Row waiting to happen.
Listen, Josh Ward is a beast.
Josh Ward is definitely a beast. A couple other names: Nick Breidenbach, Nick Stein, Austin Story, Chris Claude's in this one. Couple of names missing, but it's still enough time to get into this piece. Seba Cornez in this one as well.
Seba Cornez in the number 14, always a big factor in these races. And a new face to the SNN Cup Series, Rich Jett in the number 77 machine, currently sitting atop the timing pile here in practice with a 45.858.
That's insane.
That's in draft.
It has to be. I mean, but you take a look at your top three, top 10 right now are all draft assisted. So, we're getting right down here, about 30 seconds left before we find out, who's the truly fearless and who's the crazy brave.
But I mean, on that note, I mean, I'm the foreigner here, right? I am as raw to this as these drivers as raw can be. So I don't have the history and the knowledge. But Tony, when you make a statement like that, I'm starting to write some name downs here, and I'm highlighting them as ones to watch because that was a pretty bold statement there on some of these drivers. So sounds to me like as you made a murder reference. I forget exactly how you phrased it,
Murderer's Row.
Murderer's Row. So that tells me there's going to be some big names in this race that won't take anything less than a W is accepted or is acceptable once the checkered flag falls here.
Yeah, absolutely. Is qualifying now underway. It looks like Stein's going to be the first one to roll it. There he is in the 02. Ken Ron is here as well. There he is in the GoPro 33. Josh Ward coming out of pit road now. JC Gibson. And there is the aforementioned Rick Jeanette, who we were talking about.
Tony, so as we, kind of getting back to what we were discussing in the first qualifying session, we really haven't seen the weather conditions really change too much here. So kind of a similar story, though, right? You're going to have a lot of things going for you here to rip off a good lap, single car trim out here on the racetrack. You want to catch the wind right. You want to catch that down the backstretch. You hope it minimizes when you're plowing into it head on, and you're hoping that all the forces that be with you inside that race car allow you to come out on top when qualifying ends.
Well, the wind has actually shifted. We were facing a headwind down the backstretch. Now we've got a 5-mile-an-hour tailwind down the backstretch, and the track is cooled off by about 10 degrees from where we started duel number 1.
10 degrees on the racing surface, not to cut you off there. That'll certainly help the grip level out there of that race car for sure.
Even at 10 degrees warmer, this track was awful grippy in that first duel. And I'll tell you what, with the tailwind now down the backstretch, we're going to see some crazy times going into turn 3. It was actually so strong coming through the tri-oval during the first duel that we were having to check up coming out of there.
It looked like guys were lifting coming through there.
It lifts I'll tell you what, these next-gen cars are really interesting, as far as design and engineering. And it lifts the whole car up if you don't back off.
And that's something we were noticing last night as I was spotting for Frank in the NIS fixed. That car just got unruly. If you were in traffic and tried not to come off the throttle pedal coming off before.
And just to extend upon that, Tony, if you recall that one part in that race there, I believe when those Toyotas were lined up, occupying the top 4 positions, we were seeing sparks like I've never seen sparks before when they were out there just running those crazy fast laps. just, indicative of how this new aero package, really plays a factor in the characteristics of the race car, certainly in the draft and at speed.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's definitely something these guys are going to have to be mindful of as the night wears on. And, Dave, you were saying that there was a ton of grip in that first race. I'm thinking there might be too much grip right now, as the lap times, they're a little bit slower than what we saw in your section.
Yeah, they are just a few tenths of a. Well, I mean, at this point, looks like about 1 to 1.5 tenths slower in this session. But once you get in the draft, 3 cars can be more powerful, with a good run than 6 all lined up.
And that's one thing we did notice with this car is if you can get 3 cars that will work together and can work together for that matter, they're going to the front. They're going to the front in a hurry, and good luck getting by them.
And that's a great point you made there, Tony. It was almost kind of reminiscent back in the 2-car tango days, if you will. It seemed like you just said, if you had 3 drivers that were willing to work together, or on top of that, if you kind of stacked the manufacturers right in that freight train, they were able to make some great time around the racetrack, and they were able to to make moves and just really had a performance advantage at times when those 3 cars were working together. Something we're going to have to keep an eye on this race for sure. See if anyone was watching and they kind of incorporate that into their plan of attack tonight.
Well, we've got a couple more cars in this one. We had 18 in the last race. 22 lining up for this one. The last couple of cars out there right now. Let's take a look. Yeah, about five minutes left, so enough time to get both laps in. Being as everybody has turned at least 1 lap. We're following along with the 91 of Zach Vaughn right now. But those laps at the front of this piece, I mean, just the separation, you've got less than a tenth separating your top 10.
Yeah, and so for all intents and purposes, and in my mind, that's mirroring the same lap time for all intents and purposes, and that tells me that, I mean, the competition in this duel tonight is gonna be fierce. We often talk about football in the game of inches. Well, here at plate tracks, when the times are this close, it can also be a game of inches, especially when you're coming down to that checkered flag. So look for the competition level to increase here as the track temps have cooled down. You heard Dave talking about the track conditions as well, and at times how that draft was scary, out there on the racetrack. And Tony, you mentioned maybe too much grip, but I have to think, when these cars start, getting wound up in the, in the 5th gear, and they are going full send in a 3-car pack, that's going to just maybe allow them to carry just a little bit more speed. Maybe we'll see 206, 207 in this duel.
Well, there's a possibility for that, but to give you folks at home an idea of what we're looking at in the times, if you take a look on the tower on the left side of your screen, 0.03 of a second is the distance from the tip of the front bumper to the furthest point back in the headlights. That's it. You're talking less than 6 inches.
At 200 miles an hour.
At 200 miles an hour. Good luck.
Thank God for electronic scoring, because I wouldn't want to try to figure that one out at the end of the day, Tony or Dave.
Hard no.
No, that's going to be a hard pass.
Good.
Well, as we see here, just about all competitors in this one have decided to put down a lap here in this qualifying session. Unlike the last session where I believe we had 1 or 2 cars that elected to purposely start from the back. If we run down the qualifying order here one more time here, P1 on top of the board, Nick Stein in that Toyota. In fact, Tony, here we go again. The top 3 all occupied by that Toyota manufacturer's nameplate there. Zach Osborne, Justin Davis, Toyota. Top 3. The first Chevrolet, you got to go to the 4th place position. That 33rd of Ken Ron. And Chevrolet ironically, 1, 2, 3 of Nicholas Brodenbach, and then you have the 6 of Bradley Gunn. And then the Toyota is going to separate that Chevy sandwich. In the 7th place position, you got Joey Sagvey. And in 8th, Zachary Vaughn back to the Chevrolet. And I guess where I'm going with this is I'm going to go through the top 10 here.
You've got to go all the way down to Tom McGee in 14th before you get to the Blue Oval.
Thank you. That's deep in the field, Tony.
It is, but I can guarantee you right now, Jones and McGee, they're going to be everyone's best friend tonight because they can push on the Chevys like no one else can, and they can draft up to the Toyotas better than the Chevy can. So, those 2 Blue Ovals, yeah, they may be outnumbered, but they're going to be everybody's friend in the closing laps of this piece.
You have a very good point there, Tony, and thanks for that insight. But, even outside of that, I did anticipate seeing the first Ford in 14th. Seeing the Blue Ovals, like you said, hey, it's plate racing. We've seen it the last race, race 1. As long as you're in it, you can win it and come from hanging onto the lead lap forever and then miraculously coming up and stealing one at the start-finish line. But I just want to see how these Fords, these Blue Ovals fare in this pack that is Toyota and Chevy favored. I want to see if they're kind of treated like the redheaded stepchilds, or if, like you say, they're going to be everyone's best friend. Only time will tell here as the timer continues to tick and we get closer to gridding these boys up once again.
Well, if anybody's run the official NIS stuff this week at Daytona, they already know that, the Fords are who you want pushing you because it's probably the most stable of the 3 brands right now. And speaking of stable, let's go into tonight's starting grid as these guys are starting to jump onto pit road. There we go. We see the... okay, so the 82 of Nick Stein is actually being scored as the 02. Dave, did you let the tech officials drink from your special cabinet again?
I did not.
Okay.
As a matter of fact.
Zach Osborne going to join him on the outside of row number 1 in his Toyota. The 3 of Justin Davies is going to join Ken Ron in row number 2. That is Ron in the 33 GoPro machine. The first Chevy in the field. Nicholas Breidenbach and Brad Gunn are going to make up row number 3. There they are, the 24 and 36. 17 of... Help me, Dave.
That is the 17 of Joey Savajki.
Thank you. I'm going to butcher that for the first half of the season, Joe, just as a fair warning. As he's going to be joined in row number 4 with Zach Vaughn. And rounding out the top half of the field, that's Matt Mackin and J.C. Gibson in row number 5. Matt?
Yeah, return to the Mac there. Luck for him, that 9 machine. He's going to be fast in this one. I'll help you guys out on the odds of that one right now. Moving on through the field, let's bring the rest of the way home as they get ready to roll off here tonight. In 11th, that's going to be the 23 of Austin Stoney. In 12th, that is the 94, of Josh Ward. 13th, that belongs to Andrew T. Jones. 14th, the 47 machine of Thomas McGee. 15th, Chris Claude in that 10, another one to watch here tonight. 16th, the 81 of Ryan Samuelson. 17th, piloted by that Glenn Ballard in that 7 machine here tonight. Starting a little further on back. 18th, that's going to be Laurie Jones. 19th, that's going to be... Tony, help me out here with that one.
Seba Cornez.
Seba Cornez.
Seba, thank you, David. Tony, I appreciate that. In 20th, Tanner Marty. 21st belongs to Rick Jett. And rounding out the 22 starters here in Duel number 2 at Daytona tonight, Aaron Mack.
So 22 cars scheduled to roll it here tonight. 60 laps scheduled this one more time. And, we saw in that first one that these guys were basically splitting this up into a race of 2 halves. As short pitted a little bit, but you've got to have dancing partners. That's going to be the big takeaway here tonight. You've got to have the dancing partners if you're going to do anything here under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Field worked its way through the 3-4 complex behind the official iRacing pace car. Remember, the Geico restart zone is in effect tonight. Nick Stein having the button. Thank you, Davis Brothers Roofing. Congratulations on 40 years in business as we get ready to kick off Duel number 2. Stein has the button. The only thing he says is it's time to wipe the visor and go to the 5-point harden. Grandma, grab some more popcorn and a nice cold beverage because it's time to get it on in Daytona. Race fans, it's showtime!
And just like that, Daytona thunders to life as they all jump on the loud pedal 2 by 2 as the 0-2 of Zach Osborne and Nick Stein lead the charge down into turn 1. These guys are wasting no time trying to find dancing partners here, as we know will be a premium here tonight if you've seen anything from race 1. As he gets out to a great push. Check that out on the outside line. Getting some teamwork going on. That Toyota, no surprise, going to get a push from that Chevy Monte Carlo up to 33 of Rick Ken Codd. He's going to rightfully duck down in line with his buddies. And Tony, just like that, we got a front row occupier of those TRD boys.
The TRD
at least on
boys,
the inside line.
TRD boys leading that inside lane. Matter of fact, they've got a monopoly in there, as it's a lot of boat ties on the outside right now. Currently, Ken Ron leading the way from the outside lane, and that's something. Woo. If you're going, go. Don't lackadaisical about it.
Yeah, Zach Osborne in the 16 is one of those drivers where he can absolutely hold on to where he's going. Ken Ron, the Pennsylvania native, staying on the low side in the Grove Car 33. He's getting a push right now from Brad Gunn, who's actually in the clip switch machine tonight. And at this point, the 36 is pushing the 16. I guess maybe I should learn how to read tonight. But I'll tell you what, 5 rows deep of double file, this can only be scary.
Terrifying would be the way I would classify it.
Yeah, terrifying, and rightfully so, as this is maybe a little too much for what these drivers want to see this early on, because as you guys know, you can't win it lap 1, and there they go. The sparks are a-flying early in this one. Maybe it's a tire pressure thing, Tony. Maybe the tire pressure just got to come up a little bit, get that belly pan up off the racetrack ever so slightly.
Well, that was something we did notice in the first one, is that was when we saw the sparks was fresh off the pit road. That's when the most sparks were flying. And, Dave, you just came out of the car. Is that when you could hear that scraping happening more proficiently?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, it gets, with the car in front of you, especially when you're drafting, when you're tucked up the way that these drivers are, those sparks come up in your eyes, and you're almost wondering if at that point somebody's wrecking, and you're not sure if you should back out of it or if you should stay in it. And right now, these guys are staying into this. We are 4 laps in of 60 with the 16 of Zach Osborne. Now with a good head of steam from Brad Gunn behind him. He gets a push on the outside line. Meanwhile, Nick Stein trying to push Ken Ron, but he's got no help from the 3 of Justin T. Davis behind him. JT trying to push him around, but right now, that top line, the story of this race 4 laps in.
Go ahead.
That top line, as you said, Dave, continues to be the story of the race this far, as they've actually been able to put a sizable gap on that inside line, as now some of the top side lines come down and make up the newly formed inside line. But they wasted no time off the rip on this one, jostling for position, side-by-side action early on. Forget about it. Throw it out the window. These guys mean business. As look at that hornet's nest of cars, Dave. From your perspective right now, you were just in this car, as you just said. Is this too early to see the racing level this high?
Not with this group of drivers. This group of drivers is some of the best that SNN has to offer. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of these guys, they're going to be hungry, especially trying to make sure that they can get up as far as they can in the starting order. One of the things that I'll note here, as this line that is now leading this piece got by on the top side, they made sure that everybody that they were bringing along came down to the low side to start logging laps, which, there's nothing more frustrating than when you're being bumped by somebody or when you're the pusher and all of a sudden the guy that you're pushing drops down to the low side and you're hung out to dry. These guys are working together so far very well this evening.
the most frustrating a driver can ever get is when you just get hung out to dry like that.
Yeah, no one wants to get stuck with the tab at the bar when all the fun is said and done. Well, you guys were breaking that down. I don't know if you've seen that, but there was an awful big moment out of that 47 car near the front. I don't know if he just lost a little bit of downforce there. The car got free, but he certainly stepped out of shape. I'm sorry, the 36 machine got a little slideways there. Going to have to keep an eye on that as we roll through the early portion of race number 2.
Yeah, I was going to say that was definitely a little bit further back than the highest running for mobile, that's for sure, Tom McGee. I knew it wouldn't take long to get a little to the front. Here he is, running in third currently. And is my trading paints up to date? Are you both seeing what I'm seeing on that car?
That is the Care Bears machine.
Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to make sure.
No, listen, you can feel like you smell burnt toast, but that's the real deal right there. Tom McGee is one of these drivers that always has something creative and real flashy on their paint scheme. And the Care Bears is, whoa, as he steps just barely getting against the wall, that Care Bears machine always looks good.
Yeah, Care Bear looks good, and he's utilizing that Care Bear stair power. So if you got the Care Bear stair in this race, who's got the flux capacitor? As I'm seeing all these sparks fly all over the place, and hit that 1.21 gigawatts. Let's go, turn and burn, as that top side is roaring around this speedway.
Ryan Samuelson drops to the low side. He's getting a heck of a push right now. He just dropped out from right behind Tom McGee and the 73 of Marty, and I'll tell you what, he is suddenly making moves here as Ballard pushing him around here through turn 4.
Well, you mentioned the flux capacitor, you mentioned all that happy stuff, and we are still running 2x2. Win at 88 miles an hour, folks. We're hauling it off into turn number 1, flirting with 200. Which does remind me, don't let me forget, I got to tell both of you a story when we go off the air.
Speaking of story, Austin Story getting a push from the master, Josh Ward, as the Columbia Chevrolet Camaro getting a push, still making the high line work. By this point in the last duel, everybody had pretty much gone down to single file on the low side, but so far, looks like Glenn Ballard making it work, pushing at this point. Wow, that low side all the way around. Oh, here they go.
Oh, there they go.
One stepped out. That's Zach Vaughn down there on the apron. He's coming back up maybe a little too early.
Vaughn,
piece of
heads up driving for everybody around him not to get into him. But that could have ended all sorts of poorly.
Yeah, all sorts of poorly, all sides of bent sheet metal. But a great recovery as he goes down there into the infield abyss and is able to manhandle that race car and will it back onto the race car or back onto the racetrack, back in traffic, and we remain under green flag here. But up front, Tony, Dave, these guys are pushing. They are pushing hard. That 7 machine of Glenn Ballard is just giving the business to the back of Ryan Samuelson. But that means they are FAST fast as they go across the start-finish line.
They are at that, and this is something you expect to see out of this group of names. Guys, all you had to do was go back and watch any of the races last season. It's the usual suspects at the front of the field.
Now watch Matt Mackin here in the 0-1. He's going to get a nice push from Joey Savachki. As Savachki pushing him on the low side, they're closing in fast on the leaders.
3 wide.
It looks like, wow, 3 wide.
Yeah, you blink and you just about miss everything with these guys. Oh, don't do that. The 30.
Everybody's knuckles just went white. Here he goes.
There we go.
Sometimes you play Russian roulette and the trigger goes off, and when they are wiggling like that at 200 miles an hour, sometimes bad things happen. As we're currently under, wow, the pace car just about got a full face of that 81. Thank God you can drive through that machine as it's drifting the bottom side of the racetrack there, catching up to speed as these guys quickly got to roll up on the brakes. And just like that, Tony, Dave, we are currently under our first caution in duel number 2.
They were fine going 3 wide. It's when they tried to go 4 wide that they went from playing Russian roulette with a revolver to playing it with a semi-automatic pistol.
Well, and I'm sure that as you're reeling this back, you're going to see basically Savajki getting loose coming out of 4, and that's just the end of it.
Well, the 17 gets into the 01, and that's really what caused it. And then everybody else that was behind them had absolutely nowhere to go, and they couldn't see anything.
Now, with all of these cars that were just involved in this particular wreck, the 3 cars that I'd be curious to start watching way back here, there's 3 cars. There's Lauren Jones, I can't see who the first one there is, and Chris Claude. And that's going to be where we're going to watch right now, as that should be interesting to watch those guys get shuffled way back up.
Yeah, that's right around the 13th position there. I think you're also talking about the Toyota there of Aaron Mack as well. As you mentioned, Andrew T. Jones. So if you guys at home are looking for your, don't want to say deep sleepers, but ones to watch right now, as pointed out by Dave Riegel, who was just out there doing battle on the racetrack. He's got a couple of those drivers highlighted. So keep track of them at home right along with us. If you're new to SRM under this caution flag, smash the like button, ring the bell, become part of the family right here on SRM, the only place you're going to find these boys in primetime.
And speaking of SRM and welcoming people in, especially for making us a part of your evening, make sure that you're also tuning in on Mondays and Tuesday nights, as the Sunday Night NASCAR family of racing is expanding here on Sim Racing Media, and the Xfinity and Truck Series will be on Mondays and Tuesdays. And I heard, and this is a vicious rumor, I'm assuming, possibly a dirty communist lie, but I've heard the guy that's calling these races on Monday and Tuesday is probably more excited than anybody.
Yeah, because he's finally getting paid to do both those races.
How you doing? No, listen, the first thing that I'll say is that this is my passion. These guys here in Sunday Night NASCAR, they are who brought me into iRacing.
I'll be right back.
And while Matt...
We just broke Matt.
Well, Matt broke you last time, so it's
yeah,
only
but
fair.
The thing is, I only turned my mic off when I started a coughing fit because my sinuses were blowing up.
Well, I'll say this just to get a little sentimental early on here. Bob Nestor, who used to be the commissioner of Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series Racing, he's who brought me into iRacing and how he introduced me to Chris Claude. And I would not be sitting here with you, Tony, and I wouldn't even know you if it wouldn't be for this group of guys on the track right now. So without them, there would be no us.
We get a hashtag truth in the live chat for that one. Another one of our SRM brethren checking in is Liam Irving, saying duel number 2 seems to be the wilder one, and yes, that was a big one, sir.
Hashtag Captain Obvious.
Hashtag slowly regaining consciousness after Tony about maybe pass out from laughter. Returning the favor.
You're welcome.
We're here to entertain and inform.
Yes.
Not necessarily in that order.
Oh, hey, sometimes you hope it sticks. And I still can't even get my bearings straight.
Don't make me say the name of the whiskey.
Don't do it. Don't do it. We just got back on the channel. So Nick Stein gonna have the button this time again. Sorry, Samuelson's gonna have the button this time, as the 81 is gonna lead us back to green. 3 Toyotas back at the front of this piece, but take a look at that blue oval of McGee, up 10 spots where he started, but he's still not the biggest mover of the night.
Well, Tony, you're basically a philosopher and a scholar, in my opinion. If you remember, I was worried about those Fords, being hung out to dry, the redheaded stepchild, if you will. And you said, Matt, don't worry about it. They got it, as we're going to get ready to go back to the green side of things. We hit the Geico restart zone. That 81 is going to stand on it and bring that TRD engine to life. And look at the run by the Duel machine of Nick Stein. He's wasted no time as that Toyota trio is going to form up again. And just behind him, the low blue oval in P4. And then the Camaro is going to bring up the caboose in that single line as they come back up to speed.
Well, McGee and Davis wasted absolutely no time getting to that bottom lane. Apparently they are planning something, and they don't want to be on the outside to do it.
Well, they probably don't want to be on the outside looking in either.
That's exactly the case. The 77 of Rick Jeanette getting pushed along by the 7 of Glenn Ballard on the outside lane right now. They're going to need some more help, but I don't see any more Chevys getting really to them yet. And Dave, this is something you saw during that first duel, was if it's a Toyota leading a Chevy, the Chevy can draft up. If it's a Ford leading a Chevy, the Chevy can draft up. If it's a Chevy leading a Chevy, the Chevy's screwed.
Yeah, we were just talking about that off air between these two duels, and it's definitely something I'm going to have to consider before Sunday's Daytona 500 here on Sim Racing Media. And I'll tell you what, right now they're making it work. The 77 of Rich Jett being pushed around right now by Glenn Ballard, and they're looking fantastic. But don't look now; they're starting to be a movement.
And I do apologize. Yeah. I do apologize for calling Rick Jeanette, as I was thinking of RJ, the longtime announcer for my Buffalo Sabres, who just retired last season.
Top shelf where Mama hides the cookies.
There you go. My
guy. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there, man. I'm sorry.
You're not sorry. Don't be sorry.
That's probably the greatest call he ever made, too. Meanwhile, back in the race, something that we weren't really expecting, 4 Chevys leading this group. And
what?
4 Chevys are leading this piece.
You have my attention.
Jett, Ballard, Ward, and Story are all driving bow ties. And then you've got the 3 Toyotas of Samuelson, Stein, and Davis. And then the Ford of McKee, 4 Chevys of Marty and Ron. And then Lauren Jones in his Ford. As we've got a couple of cars already, one car already on the hauler, that's Zach Vaughn. Nick Breidenbach has spent the last 7 minutes on pit road trying to get that car fixed, just to see what's going to happen on Sunday if something were to pop off.
Yeah, he seems to have it fixed up pretty good last time by, or at least 203 miles an hour. So I'm going to say those aero woes have been mitigated by that lengthy pit stop. So you're absolutely right. He looks to bring it back down to pit road one more time. But just like that, as you were saying, the bow ties, Dave, it's like you brought the Fountain of Chevrolet Go-Go juice with you up to the booth here.
Well, it just looks like they all decided to take a hint from the side of my car, stopped at Wawa, got themselves a large Colombian roast 24-ounce coffee, and perhaps a couple of tasty cake honey buns, preferably the iced ones, and all of a sudden they got some sugar in the tank.
Well, yeah, I mean, you put some icing where Tasty Cake's icing has never gone before at that speed out there tonight, Dave, that's for sure.
Rich Jett, Glenn Ballard, and Josh Ward running nose to tail right now atop the pile. Wow. And it gets dicier and dicier. All of a sudden, things starting to look a little scary here.
That was Marty, Ron, and McGee almost getting into each other as they're working their way around that lap car. A little beating and banging in the mid-pack as that was your 9th, 10th, and 11th going after each other.
Yeah, I agree. That looked like something out of the Blair Witch Project there, really quick and in a hurry. But as you guys said, the level and caliber of these drivers out here on the racetrack on full display here tonight, they're able to settle that amongst themselves. And how about this single car train leading the front of the field? Not as tight as what you think they would be, but Tony, this is kind of what we saw getting back to the first race or so around this point in time. You know, give and take. Whoa, as that Care Bear car comes up and gives the 3 a shot in the back. It could be that just that closing rate. Just sometimes, like you were saying, Dave, you can feel the front of that car almost pick up. And I don't think he was anticipating just coming in there the way he did, closing on the back of that 3 car.
No, the front of these cars almost turned into it's like they're on a cloud. And all of a sudden, Tom McGee on the low side, everybody getting out of his way. He's getting a good push from Lauren Jones in that number 11 Cheetos machine as he's getting a good push and now sucking up to the rear end of Austin Story in the 23 machine. So right now it's going to go Jet, Ballard, Ward, Story, Samuelson, your top 5, as they are single file against the double yellow line. Don't look now, though. It looks like the 16 of Ryan Samuelson starting to lead a charge on the outside again.
Dave, there was a league you and I broadcast back in 2022 that we had some very creative paint schemes on the Ford Mustang. I saw some of the most creative earlier today. I saw a Saab.
You're kidding. What?
Multiple Volvos and a Saab. I will show you the pictures after we're off air. But definitely some creativity with the Ford paint schemes. At least we don't have a damn good race Ford Mustang number 3 out on track.
And I thought I was being creative when I decided to run a Honda paint scheme on a Ford Mustang. Oh, well, that's old news. You have the Rings of Doom apparently out there on the racetrack. Hopefully that car does not follow suit with the manufacturer and blow up at random, as that would probably put an early dent in your race day. As we continue to stay green here at Daytona, which has been a thriller. It's this top line, for all intents and purposes, guys, it's trying to form up. It's got some fast cars occupying that line. The Toyota's at the front. Is it just a matter of time before they're able to creep up there? Or do these guys up front just have so much speed in their race car that these 3 cars working the top are just not going to be able to get the momentum to get there?
Well, here's the thing. If there's 3 cars that are really tucked up into one another, they can make some hay up there. The thing is, nobody can step out of line. Everybody has to be in sync. And the minute that one person steps out, you lose all of that momentum and you wind up slowing down.
What if they don't want to be in sync and they want to be a backstreet boy?
Well, that's fine, but, you know.
I was just going to say bye, and we were all on the same page there.
Gentlemen, it's on that note that I am going to go back to the garage area and check on the Chevrolet. Have a good broadcast, and I will see you fellas later.
Yes, sir.
Hey, check on Wordbird while you're at it, Dave. He looked a little shaken up after that run in that race car.
Will do. Take care, fellas.
Too soon.
Love you, man.
Rick Jeanette continuing to show the way. Glenn Ballard right there with him as those 4 Chevys of Jeanette, Ballard, Ward, and Story continue to just click off the laps. The 4 have found each other. McGee and Jones running stem to stern right now on the low side. Ian 5th and 6th. As Samuelson now leads that upper lane and he's trying to make some headway.
Yeah, they are trying to make some headway. And like Dave was saying, if they're out of line and they aren't laser straight, that's going to be one thing. But if they get nice and tight how they are right now, they should be able to get some steam rolling on the top side of that racetrack. As you see the 0-2 of Nick Stein just painting a bead on that 81 being piloted by Ryan Samuelson. Hey, and they got the help, the Toyota Brotherhood in the 3 car as well. And right on cue, Tony, here they come.
Here they come is right, and this is not what anybody wanted to see. Was 3 Toyotas, especially with 2 of them pushing on each other like they are, and the 3 of Davis able to get to the back bumper of the the 02 of Stein anytime he wants to. And Stein is in the 82, but he's being scored as the 02. So that's not going to get confusing for somebody that stopped drinking a year ago.
Well, and just like that, it was a quartet up top of Toyotas, but now that is, here we go again. Here comes the 14. He's going to throw his hat in the mix. Oh, what up?
No class. No.
That's not what you do there, Tony.
You all get detention for that one. Holy cow. We've got enough torn up race cars already. We don't need to go again.
Yeah, I didn't want to speak too soon there, Tony. Maybe you saw something that was a move.
Yeah, that 02 of Nick Stein, not afraid to be aggressive changing lanes. He wanted to get back to the bottom. Sheepers. Zach Osborne just almost took out Aaron Mack. Mack had to jump on the binders and kind of stack that lane up, but these guys are getting single file, and that's usually the tattletale that we're closing in on green flag pit stops.
Typically is is the 36 having a problem, or is he just coming back up to speed there, Tony?
He's just coming back up to speed. He pit by himself back on 19, and he's got some damage. Brad Gunn still has a lot of damage.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, Tony. The aero, especially on this next gen, so critical around these super speedways. That damage, that's going to act like an air brake, and that's definitely going to make his workload just a little bit taller here tonight as we remain under green flag, awaiting first round of pit stops.
Well, here's the other thing, too, is you can throw a blanket basically over your top 15 right now as they all run stem to stern. A couple of stragglers on the outside right now. That is the, yeah, it is. That's the 14 of Seba Cornez on the outside lane, and I believe he's got Aaron Mack with him. Yeah,
you're darn right he's got Aaron Mack with him. He's got a lot of Aaron Mack with him as we speak right now, and that's back around that 15th position. Aaron Mack, another Toyota, go figure. He is up 7 spots from where he started.
I'm sorry, I was thinking Tanner Marty, my bad.
Thank you, Tony. As you know, you have just a lot better of a knowledge and understanding of these drivers. This is my first time getting to witness this greatness out here at Daytona under the lights, and I am loving every minute of it, Tony. Thanks for having me on board with you tonight.
Well, hopefully you can be able to join me a few times in the regular season as well.
Oh, that wasn't good.
That could have ended poorly.
How did they not wreck?
Heads up driving for everybody there at the tail end of this lead crew.
Tony, that woulda, shoulda. You know where I'm going with that. That simply does not work.
Yeah, oh, there it is. Seba Cornez just, boom. 17 goes for a ride there. Second time tonight, he's gone for a wild one. Oy, that car came off the ground when he hit the inside concrete.
Yeah, he took flight. Boom, shakalaka, as I like to say back in NBA Jam. Granted, not a racing reference, but
that car is toast. He's got to tow that.
He has to. That is detrimental. That is devastating. And Tony, just like that, when all seems well with the world, a flick of the steering wheel and torn up race cars, and that thing's probably bent like a boomerang.
It was definitely Bluetooth left rear suspension, as that car would not drive. And for those of you wondering what I mean, you have a Bluetooth headset for your cell phone, or a Bluetooth speaker for your cell phone. Anything attaching that to your cell phone? Yeah, go with that thought.
I'm tracking you there, Tony. Great analogy there, sir. You know, we talked about the possibility of green flag pit stops being right around the corner, but it looks like the level of racing is picked up. You would think maybe everyone maybe play nice just a little bit as we get ready to approach our first round of green flag pit stops. We remember what happened in Duel 1 when everyone came kamikazing down to pit road. A couple guys couldn't get wound up. We, had a little bit of a speed date down there on the commitment cone, and a couple went off through the grass.
Well, the good news is we've got a little bit smaller of a group than we did in Duel 1, as there's only 10 left in this lead group on the lead lap. And they work their way around. I believe that's Matt Mackin. Yes, it is. As he now goes lap down, he's going to try to duck in behind Tanner Marty in 10th.
Yeah, Matt Mackin there, wondering if that was another case of a single car pit stop, just not deciding to buddy up with anybody as they were having service performed on their race car under green flag conditions, perhaps.
Well, we're going to see what happens here, but the cars we've got to be mindful of, Rick Jett, your leader, Tom McGee, Ryan Samuelson, Nick Stein, Justin Davis, and Tanner Marty have all not been down pit road. Glenn Ballard, Josh Ward, Austin Story, and Lauren Jones all have been down pit road, so they can go a little bit longer by about 12 laps than the rest of them can.
Right, but on that other note, are we going to see something similar? Maybe we saw in Duel 1, where we've heard from multiple drivers now. Tires really still not the hot commodity, if you will. Oh, big wiggle off the 7 there as he comes down to the flat there for just a second. Great save. Those Cheetos almost got crunchy, but great heads-up driving there as he continues to march his way forward.
Yeah, as he's trying to stay glued to Jet right now. As I cannot confirm this yet, but we'll get confirmation before Sunday. I believe those two are working on the same team. So
you gotta have teammates out there on the racetrack, especially in a setting like this where having friends, people to work with you and help push you are oftentimes one of the main storylines of the main reason why you wind up in victory lane here tonight. Oh, there we go. There's a taker coming down pit road. Looks like the Toyotas are going to swarm pit road first. Can they get woed up in time? Oh, one off in the grass, doing a little bit of a McSwirly there as he thought he was going to get it pointed back on pit road, but disaster strikes again on a hot approach to a cold pit entrance.
Oh, that was Davis going for a ride. Let's take a look at what happened to him. Coming in a little bit hot, locks him down, can't get the car turned. It's exactly what we saw the 44 do
right
in Duel 1, and it's pretty much night over from there. He's praying for a caution right now.
Yeah, and that was, I wasn't trying to, to call the shot, if you will. I was just, I was bringing that up because that was something that kind of caught us off guard there, Tony, just how treacherous that pit entrance can be under green flag conditions. And when we know those fractions of a second count, and obviously getting on pit road and off pit road, such a big part of it. You try to get everything you got. Sometimes you maybe have a little bit too much rear brake bias in it, or you just you don't anticipate the amount of time it's going to get slowed down to that commitment cone speed, which is a far cry from pace speed, if you will.
As Davis now brings it back down pit road. We're going to see if these leaders are going to join him. And surprisingly, no. Jet and company stay out. Huh.
Biggest shocker of the night so far, wouldn't you say, Tony?
Well, they're probably looking to get it to right around lap 40, so they don't have to put every drop of fuel in this thing. But if they do go to 40, they can definitely go into overtime and not have to worry about coming back down pit road. So,
but possible strategy play there. Well, definitely a strategy play, showing your hand, if you will. Betting on, it almost sounds like a late race caution in this one. And darn it, I went ahead and I said it, but I'm hoping since I said it this time, it doesn't actually go into fruition.
Sure, let's go with that thought.
Thank you, Tony.
As we've got another one getting ready to go, another lap down. That's the 02, Nick Stein.
Yes, Nick Stein there, one of the early front runners who definitely had some speed, is going to find himself one lap down to the leaders. Whoa, as we see a big formational shift there, getting around Stein as he comes up to speed. But he should be able to join the back of this train here, and he does. Those Toyotas just so fast, and they suck up on those Ford Mustangs. So, whoa, that got skinny.
Lauren Jones letting Stein know he's not happy with him right now, as he almost hung Jones out to dry, and that's definitely not what he was hoping for. And here we go. Jet going to be the first one to peel off from this front runner group, and nobody's going with him. Oh, no.
Well, there's shocker number 2 of this one. I did not anticipate that. And just like that, he is the Lone Ranger without a battle buddy going down pit road under green flag conditions. Probably the worst thing you want to see as a race car driver in that scenario.
It absolutely is. Your heart's got to drop at that point. We were kind of expecting Tom McGee to maybe go with him and Tanner Marty in the 73 to go down pit road this last time by, but they all stayed out as well, as McGee hasn't led any laps where Jet did, so McGee can hold it out there a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. You bring up a great point about fuel mileage and fuel consumption. You know, sometimes being at the back of the train pays dividends, and one of the areas that it does is in the fuel mileage category versus the guy that's out there punching the air. You're absolutely right.
You know, that's something that we're going to be mindful of on Sunday as well. As we go 200 laps here, we're 20 to go right now. And I expect the kid gloves to start coming off here in another lap or two.
Oh, they're coming off already as we had a big wiggle up front. Just indicative of how far they are pushing up there at the front of this pack. You know, last time by at the line, well, forget the line, 202 miles an hour at the top of the pylon the last lap. Josh Ward was one off of him at 200. I mean, these guys are flying around this racetrack right now, and those holes and those gaps that may be there momentarily, at those speeds, they fill up in a hurry, and we've seen that in Duel 1, Tony. Can it happen again?
Well, we've already seen it here tonight in Duel 2. That's what brought out the first caution when they decided to go 4 wide, and oops. There's not quite enough room here. Talladega, you might be able to get away with it going through the tri-oval, but not here at Daytona. Meanwhile, Glenn Ballard continues to show the way. Josh Ward, Austin Story, Tom McGee, Warren Jones. Your top 5 as they currently sit. So all domestic in the top 5 right now is Jason Gibson. Leading the Toyotas back in 6th, about 13.5 seconds off this lead group right now. They were last down on lap 12. McGee has yet to come down pit road, and you got to wonder how much does he have left in the tank of that thing.
It's got to be on fumes, right, Tony? I mean, you're not starting off here with 100% fuel.
Sure.
You're out there running this pace. Yeah, you're in the draft, but I mean that tank has to be on fumes, if not just about out of gas by now, you would think.
Well, there's the 77 of Jet, who he came down on lap 39. And here we go. There's the answer. Story, Ballard, Ward, McGee, and Jones all bringing it inside this time.
Yeah, and it seems like all these drivers make it safely onto pit road, avoid a treacherous entrance, as we've seen twice under green flag conditions so far. So now that they've tucked in, getting service done on that on their race cars, that's going to shuffle the deck at the top of the pylon. That's going to bump the 27 of J.C. Gibson, the 14 of Civic Horns, and the 16 of Zach Osborne. 1, 2, 3, and guess what? They're all Toyotas.
They are all Toyotas, and then you've got the trail group for them being led by Ken Ron Chevy as, this green flag pit stop has really shaken this field up. And you got to wonder, is anybody going to try to stretch it?
You're almost getting that feeling, right, Tony? You're seeing that picture be painted, and great call. But I guess the question is now, can you? Is it possible? Do you think can it be done?
The answer is a definite maybe. And if anybody can do it, I dare say it's some of these guys here. Seba is one of the best at conserving fuel. Even as hard as he's been pushing on Gibson, Cornez knows how to save fuel. Same thing with Zach Osborne.
Well, the other part of that, too, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but they have an 11-second there's an 11-second deficit back to P3 right now. So those two leaders, with that type of a buffer, I mean, they could essentially, do I dare say, roll out of the throttle at times?
They could. Right now, though, Ken Ron's foot is through the floorboard, and he was last down on 12. Andrew Jones right behind him in the 94. He was down on 13. Aaron Mack in the 31. He was last down on 12. And then leading those who have already got their money stop out of the way is the 23 of Austin Story. So...
yeah, and let me be more...
Not anymore. It's down Josh Ward.
As you mentioned there, Josh Ward, and let me be a little bit more specific. Obviously, not right now, not this moment in time out there on the racetrack, but if they're able to maintain, that buffer, which is right now north of 11 seconds, approaching 12, if they really become concerned on fuel, having two cars there working together, if they felt the need that they may have to go into a high conserve situation with those race cars, I mean, they essentially could, back up the corners a little bit.
Yeah, they absolutely could, but they could also let Tanner Marty get his lap back the hard way and use him as the fuel pig.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Tony. The fuel pig, which we've seen be a very big part of the role in the storyline in Duel 1. But nonetheless, some great strategy call, at least right now in the short term, from those two Toyotas. And you said Seba's one of the best in the games in fuel economy. Probably, exactly who the 27 of JC wants to see out his rearview mirror.
Yeah, he is. But you take a look at your top three. They're all right there in this lead group. They're separated by the 81 of Ryan Samuelson, who, throw Samuelson to the wolves too. He's got a Toyota. He can punch the hole. As you've got four Toyotas running 1, 2, 3. The lap car Samuelson, and then the lone Chevy of Tanner Marty.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's where I was getting that deficit from. I had overlooked that he was currently one lap down. So thank you for that, Tony.
Not a problem, as they've already stretched that lead out to 12.5 seconds with 12 laps to go.
Yeah, so Tony, here we
That's
go.
That's a big ask.
That's a very big ask. That's as Ethan, as they said in the Revolutionary War, Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys, there's no mountain too tall. Well, this one may be a little more than what Ethan Allen ordered, if you will.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That's a good way to put that, by the way. I'm going to borrow that later on.
Go for it, man. You've taught me so much. If I say anything, hey, take it, run with it, modify it, do your thing, work your magic.
I just want you to know I only steal from the best.
Well, hey, you had the best, in my opinion, up here in the booth moments ago. Just listening to you and Dave there, a.k.a. We're not going to say that again.
Cheech and Chong.
There you go. You just witnessing greatness up here in the SRM booth, as it's always a pleasure to be alongside two of the greats in the business, yourself and Dave, in my opinion. But, well, Tony, here we go. It's coming down to crunch time here.
The three Toyotas are pitting.
What?
Oh, no. Zach Osborne speeding on and unsafe pit entry.
Oh, that is... Wow.
And we caught that live.
We did something right.
For once in my life. Speaking of doing something right, Glenn Ballard, Josh Ward, Lauren Jones, and Austin Story running stem to stern right now. 3 Chevys and a Ford showing the way here. Yeah,
3 Chevys and a Ford, and that Care Bear car is starting to look like a can of Grizzly chewing tobacco there, as they're starting to get a little hungry in that Care Bear camp.
Well, he's a little bit deeper. McGee's back in 9th right now. There he is running with the 77 and the 82, or sorry, the 02.
Well, that is definitely something I'm going to have to refresh on my end. Thank you for that, Tony, because that's not as I see it right now.
That's Lauren Jones in the Cheetos car.
Yeah, that I see that on my screen, but that's not. That's just. I'm going to do a quick refresher.
Yeah, go ahead. Glenn Ballard continues to show the way. Okay, cool. Now we're talking about the same stuff. But Glenn Ballard continuing to show the way in that 7. Currently sits plus 16. One of your 2 biggest movers tonight. Rich Jett, who's led a good part of the early going of this race, also sitting plus 15. Lauren Jones in the Cheetos number 11, currently plus 15. And Josh Ward's plus 10.
it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. And we were talking about that earlier in race 1 and race 2 as well. So it really, right now, I mean, the dogfight, for all intents and purposes, the 7, the 1, the 11, any of these guys can win it, Tony. The question is, are we going to see a similar trend of, what happened last race and throw a major game changer in this one? Or are these boys going to run it out in their glory and going to have a three-way battle here coming down to the flag? We're going to have to see how this one shakes out.
Well, it's going to be a 4-car tango right now as Austin Story is right there with him, and he's just sitting back there stalking, waiting to see
Austin.
What?
I said, Austin Story, where did he come from?
Apparently he got latched on the green flag pit stop, and he's hanging in there pretty tight.
Yeah, I see that, but in my camera view, he was playing the Predator there, man. He was hanging just outside of, where I'm calling the race. I didn't even realize that Camry was that close and just lurking back there and, acting like the silent assassin here, just slowly reeling these guys in. If I had the violin to play in the background, dude, like it was like Jaws, if you will. You're right, Tony. He's on the prowl right now, and he's hungry as well.
Yeah, our orchestra teacher used to hate it when we do that. But, yeah, I mean, your top 4, throw a blanket over them, then you're 20 seconds back to Rich Jett in the 77 in 5th. And he's got Nick Stein, Tom McGee with him, so that's still not sorted out.
No, it's still not sorted out, and there's a lot of you still have time on the table to sort it, like you said, Tony. But right now, I mean, they're nose to tail, bumper to bumper. They're not giving an inch. I mean, they're not taking much, but they're not giving much either right now. Do you wait for 5 laps to go to pull out here and dice up this and make a move? Or because you essentially have a 4-car breakaway right now, do you do it sooner than later?
I'm waiting until the white flag is actually out. And then I'm throwing caution to the wind and, hoping that it turns into steam like hot water does on a cold day.
Copy. So white flag, you're welding your foot to the floor and you're not lifting till the checkered flag.
Absolutely. I'm going to pretend I'm driving. I'm from New Jersey as a driver.
Right.
That's what they do. They put a brake on the accelerator pedal and good luck,
You're not
everybody.
wrong. Especially if you get. Oh, I remember the first time I drove on the the Beltway around Washington D.C. in a line 6 lanes across, 495. That's it. Yeah. 495 around D.C. there, and I was out there at Talladega on the outside line with a bunch of plates from New Jersey. You're absolutely right.
Well, you always have to be fearful of a state where every road leading out of the state is a toll road. Not leading out of the state. Like, oh, you had enough of New Jersey. Give us money, we'll let you go.
We'll let you come in for free, but we're going to get you on the way out.
Absolutely. Is 4 laps to go. Coming to 3 this time by.
That could be the mindset there of that Toyota Camry that's reeled these 3 lead cars in here when it counts, saying, hey, I'm going to let you guys lead this at the white flag, but you betcha I'm going to be the first one across it on the money lap at the start-finish line when the checkered flag waves. We're just going to have to see how this plays out. As the 77 and the 02, they are nose to tail. Clinton Ballard and Josh Ward up 16 spots and 10 spots. And heck, I mean, the 11's up 15. These guys basically just flip-flopped from where they started. Sitting here potentially in the money seat, any one of these guys right now.
Well, the biggest one is in front of them is this Ballard in the 7, Ward in the 1, the 11 of Jones and the 23 of Story, as they're working their way through the lap cars right now. 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks are in the air. We've only got 5 miles left, less than 5 miles left in this one now. Down the super stretch for the penultimate time.
Yeah, you said popsicle sticks, and my ice cream has been melted laps ago as these guys are putting on a scorcher. So, Tony, who do you want to be here? Do you want to see the Mustang pushing the Camry, or do you want to? Or you think the
there
teammates?
There are no Camrys. It's all Chevys around him.
No, that's not. So what I meant is, we're talking about how these guys are pushing, right? If there was a Camry in there, would you want to be the Mustang pushing on a Camry? If that option's off the table, who do you want to work with in this, with your eligible selection right now, Tony, if you're inside that race car?
Anybody behind me who's willing to give me a shove. And it's just that simple. As we are on the final lap, we are racing back to checkers, and all the patience have finally died. Here comes Ford to the outside.
Yeah, Ward's going to bring it hard to the outside of the racetrack, as this is it. This is the last time they're going to be coming around this. I don't believe it.
Here we go.
Hold your breath. Can we make it back to the line?
Yes, we can. And your winner, Josh Ward.
The one gets it done. Ward wanted more, and he definitely got it. That CL1 Camaro takes the checkered flag here in duel number 2. In second, Austin Story. And in third, Glenn Ballard. Round out your top 3 here tonight. Tony, that was epic. That was fantastic. Great battle all race long, all over the racetrack. But at the end of the day, you can only have one winner, and that goes to the one of Josh Ward.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the last lap here. This is the final lap. And you can see Ballard leading this as the one of Ward's, lining him up as Jones and Ballard are going to get into it coming off of 4. So here we go. Everybody's hanging the 7 out to dry right here. Here comes the cavalry in the form of Tanner Marty. Gives him a shove to get him back up there, and that could have ended poorly.
Yeah, it could have, but then again, another just great display of craftsmanship and just skill out here on full display as the 23 came up and gave the one a nice little bump there as he's burning it down right at the start-finish line. How about Josh Ward? Tony, often, so many times we talk about momentum breeds momentum. What does this do for the confidence of this one team moving into Daytona?
Well, considering that they're going to be, I believe, starting from outside front row on Sunday, it's got to bode well for your confidence, especially considering that you take a look at the finishing order. They were plus 11 when the checkered flag flew. That is, especially with the drafting packages on this car this season, that's not the easiest thing to do. But you know what?
No,
let's stop the speculation. And Matt, I believe you got our race winner with you now.
Josh Ward, the Rocket. You got me, brother.
Yes, sir, I do.
Josh, you come up, charge through that field in that ZL1 Camaro. Was bat fast here tonight. Up 11 spots as you burn it down at the start-finish line. Congratulations on the win. How did you pilot that car with that group of drivers through that field here tonight in such short amount of time? How did you get up there? How did you make it happen?
Well, Cyclone Motorsports is kind of known as the plate gods of Sunday night NASCAR. I'm joking. That was a Jeremy Miller joke. But it was really just working through, and I kind of use the rule of it don't matter whether or not you really like somebody at a super speedway. They're always your friend whenever you get onto a plate track. So it's more or less just bobbing and weaving and trying not to hurt no feelings on the way through. That way you can make sure that they'll give you a little bit whenever it comes time.
Hey, that's a great way to put it, Josh. And you certainly did that there tonight. That car looks so fast, especially when it was in traffic. I mean, I feel like that car was hooked up no matter where you put it out there on the racetrack. Was that the case?
Well, I mean, on exit, it really wanted to kind of slide out almost like it started I mean, I call it push loose, but this car is almost always push loose, but it wanted to drift up out on the exit of the turn in order to hold it down to the yellow. You kind of got to grind them rear tires a little bit too much for my liking. But it really helped. It kind of sucked up into the draft. Whenever I was the third car in line, whenever Glenn was pushing Rich Jet, I believe it was, that's whenever it really felt the best. It felt like I could, my rule of thumb whenever I'm trying to be the third car is that Camaro logo on their rear end. If you can't see the label, then you're in the bubble and you're doing your job. You don't want to push them, but that helps you go ahead and get the lap times. I thought we were fast whenever it was Jet out front and Glenn was pushing, and I didn't think I was going to be able to really live up to that expectation whenever it was just me and Glenn out there. But turned out we was actually flying pretty well, especially with Lauren being third car. He was right up on me. I was scared he was going to hit me half the time.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You guys were flying out there, and you folks at home, get your pencils out, take some notes. That's some Drafting 101 right there from one of the best in the business, who is P1 here tonight. Josh, what does this do for your team moving forward? Obviously, you're going to get a great starting spot in the 500. You're going to be leading the charge front row. But what does this momentum do for your team as we approach the start of the season?
Well, it gives us a good opportunity to really challenge it, but I do think that Prodigy Esports is kind of, they took it home last season. They dominated last season. They're probably going to do it again this season. And I'm going to try my hardest to make sure that ain't the case. I believe one of my teammates, Zach Rinker, wasn't able to make it tonight because he had Road to Pro. But he's kind of a, I mean, then I got Joseph Causey. Actually, I don't know. We're doing pretty good this season. All right, yeah. So we're probably going to be able to really contend.
Hey, Josh, and rightfully so. You're fired up. I'd be fired up, especially after that performance. Who do you want to thank? Who helps you get it done week in and week out on that ZL1 Camaro?
Mom, Dad, my girlfriend, my niece Ellie, my sister, my brother. Team Watson Racing setups. I don't know if it's still on because Jeff kind of took over building the Xfinity car, but if you want 15% off, go ahead and try 80085 as your coupon code. That should be able to get you 15% off unless they changed it. I stopped building the Xfinity car about 2 months ago, so I was building for them, but now I'm kind of just a driver, and I'm going to be focusing here on SNN. And I want to shout out to Austin Story, Glenn Ballard for having a really fast car. He's Prodigy, but me and him go way back to whenever I first started iRacing. It was exciting knowing that me and him was kind of running away with it for a little bit there. So, yeah. Oh, and I want to shout out to you two, Tony and Matt, because like last season, I'm just saying, y'all kind of stepped it up this season. I'm kind of liking this broadcast.
Well, believe it or well, we appreciate that. And sadly, I'm not going to be with you guys full time throughout the season. And I appreciate the compliment. Being up here with legendary Tony, certainly a pleasure for me. This is the first I've actually got to witness you guys race out there on the racetrack here tonight. I learned a ton from watching you guys, and the racing was next level. So I appreciate the compliment. Congratulations on the win. And the one is P1. Josh Ward takes it home here in Daytona. Tony, back to you.
Joining me now is the driver of the number 23 who had a decent hand in getting Ward to the victory. Austin Story, all things considered, can't be too disappointed starting in row number 2 here in the 500 this coming Sunday.
Yeah, it was a good race. Josh and Glenn, they're amazing. Glenn had a really fast setup today. Me and Josh stuck together whole race, got it done. Didn't want to fight too much with teammates. So, yeah, that was a pretty good result considering that was my first oval race since Phoenix and only did about 20 to 30 minutes of practice if that. So, I'm happy with that.
What a way to kick off the 2023 Davis Brothers Roofing Sunday Night NASCAR Series. You've got your dancing partner on Saturday, and I dare say you guys are probably going to follow the same game plan for the 500 miler.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We'll have more teammates there at the 500, of course. We all have the same mindset. Just stick to each other and we'll be fine. Just got to make it to the end, though. Attrition. Thankfully, we weren't caught up in that wreck around midway.
Yeah, that could have been
One
bad.
of our teammates got wiped out from that, but me and Josh, we just stuck together and we made it happen.
Who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate the 1-2 with your teammate?
Money House Racing, Money House Graphics, Team Watson setup shops. They're great, awesome setups, amazing. Go get them. You will not be disappointed. I want to shout out Joe, Leo, Nick, Josh, of course, all the guys at Money House Racing. So, yeah, that's it.
Awesome story. Congratulations on a podium. We'll see you Sunday in the 500.
All right, see you guys. Thank you.
And Matt, that should mean that we've got Glenn Ballard with you now.
Glenn Ballard, Matt Mettler, and Tony up in the SRM booth. Do you have us, sir?
Yes, sir. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great. We just witnessed some great dual racing up here in the booth. You climb the leaderboard 13 positions here tonight. You get it done in prime time. Know you probably wanted just a little bit more, but hey, great effort from you and everyone in your camp. Talk to me about your pit strategy. How did you guys approach this race? With the way those pit stops unfolded, was that how you planned it, or did you guys have to kind of change it up with just the flow with the trends of the race?
Well, actually, I'm a free spot. We're looking for a team to go to, so I didn't have anybody to work with except for Josh, and Josh was like, "Yeah, we'll work together," and I just kind of let him call out the pit, and we went from there.
It looked a lot more orchestrated than that, but hey, sometimes that's how it works out in plate track racing. Certainly it worked out for you in your case with a very strong finish here tonight. Talk to me about the aero of that race car. It seemed like at times in the right scenarios when you're out there in the pack, in with 2 and 3 cars specifically, that the closing rate would really pick up all at once on that car. Was that the case, or was that just something that I may have been picking up on the broadcast booth?
Oh, no, that was the case. I spent 30 straight hours working on this car and just made it to where the rear rake and everything was just balanced. And if somebody tried to side draft me, I would actually slow them down. So it basically had an astounding closing rate. And it worked better on the high line, but I could also make it work on the bottom. So it's a great setup.
You look like Houdini out there at times with the way that car was just able to. I know you don't have nitrous boosters in that car, but that's certainly what it looked like. Are you going to make any tweaks or adjustments to that setup, or are you going to keep what you got for the 500, just out of curiosity?
Well, I won the NIS 500 today, so I think I'm going to keep the setup the way it is. So maybe just a couple pit changes from here and there, but other than that, it's going to stay the same.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You got a hot rod. Don't touch that puppy. That thing is dialed. Who do you want to thank on that team? Who helps you week in and week out?
Actually, I want to thank EPI and Michael Conti. He does a lot of stuff. I also want to thank Clips. They're my primary sponsor. And I will say thank you to Prodigy because they did give me a chance to run with them. And other than that, it's good. That's about all I have. And I want to thank Josh Ward for and Ward Automotive for helping me tonight in the race.
Yes, certainly friends are important and people to work with, especially at plate track racing. You saw a great display of racemanship, veteran of the sport, and one bad, fast setup out there on the racetrack. Certainly shows you that all that time you put in is definitely going to reap the reward in the long run. And he comes home tonight, again, up 13 spots. That is the 7 of Glenn Ballard.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
And that puts another one officially in the books for us as take a quick look at the Davis Brothers Roofing Sunday Night NASCAR Duel number 2 finishing order. Josh Ward, Austin Story, Glenn Ballard. We just spoke to those 3 gentlemen. Lauren Jones able to hang on for 4th. Rick Jett able to rebound for 5th. Tom McGee, J.C. Gibson, Aceto Cornez, and Nick Stein and Tanner Marty rounding out your top 10 and the top half of the field. Matt?
Yeah, that's the top half of the field. Let's bring them the rest of the way home, Tony. In 11th position tonight, the 33 of Kenron. 12th belongs to the 94 of Andrew T. Jones. 13th, Aaron Mack. 14th, Zach Osborne. 15th, the 81 of Ryan Samuelson. In 16th tonight, the other Matt Mackin. 17th, the 36, Bradley Gunn. Oh my gosh, I just lost my place. In 17th, that's going to be, in 18th, that's going to be Justin T. Travis. 19th, that's going to be the 10 of Chris Claude. I thought he was going to have more of a role in this race tonight, but sometimes that's just how it goes in Daytona. In 20th, that's going to be the 17 of Joey. Help me once again, please, Tony.
I got nothing.
Dave. Dave. Stavaggi. Dave got that one right. Thanks, Dave. I forgot. I'm going to have to get with you after the race. 21st, Zachary Vaughn. And rounding out your field of 22 competitors tonight, that's going to be the 24 of Nicholas Bredenbach.
So that is going to do it for us tonight. Be sure to join us tomorrow night for the iRacing E Super Speedway Series season finale here in Daytona under the lights of the Xfinity car. 4 drivers still having a shot at winning that championship. And then be sure to join us Sunday for the Davis Brothers Roofing SNN Daytona 500 or 500 miler here from Daytona, however you want to say it. Thank you so much to our good friends over at Davis Brothers Roofing. Congratulations on 40 years in the roofing business in Middle Tennessee. If you're in the Middle Tens and you need roofing work done, look no further than Davis Brothers. Best in the business. He's Matt Metler. I'm Tony Trapasso. Until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, as you walk down the road of life this week, and we will see you on Sunday, but until then, do me a favor. Don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.